Chapter 235. As soon as they reached the shore, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan hurried back home and took out the items. One was made of wood with a clear texture, and the other was made of jade with a blood-red substance inside. Both were halves. It's all thanks to Li Sun that we were able to bring her away. Otherwise, after saving her, we wouldn't be able to exchange for these two items even if we wanted to. The veins don't match with the other half. Let's send someone to get the money now. The sooner the better. After getting the money, send it to little Luo Shui. Wang Wan looked at the two items and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and said, there are two families in Zhuangzi who haven't registered yet. They will come here during the autumn harvest. Like the fishermen, they will leave and come back after some time. His family will enter the inner courtyard directly. Good. Ask him to find someone to help carry the things when he goes to the county. Ask Song Jinggong to arrange for people to switch the items on the boat. When they reach the first dock, they will separate the money and take the land route. When they reach the second dock, they will board different boats. Then, they will take the land route again. Let the people who carry the money not know where they are and how many things there are. They will have to change their makeup along the way. Wang Wan arranged how to avoid people's investigation. As long as they left Sanshui County, it would not be easy to investigate. Zhang Xiaobao added, if there are cloth and silk in the money, when it is transported to the capital, ask someone to check it carefully. Don't leave any marks. Arrange it. There was water everywhere, but he could still breathe. It was warm, and he did not feel cold at all. What was in front of him? He had horns on his head and was wearing silk. He walked over with a smile. Ah, the Water Dragon King. He saw the Water Dragon King. Oh, he asked him to follow him. Where was this? A palace? What were the boxes inside? Ah, it turned out to be gold, silver, and jewels. Oh, they want me to bring them back. That's great. With so much money, I can promote myself to a higher position. Then, I can overthrow Zhangjia Zhuangzi and the Wang family Zhuangzi. I can become the provincial governor of the prefecture. Little Luoshui's pier will also be mine. It's so heavy. It's really not easy to carry the boxes back. Someone, grab me. Don't steal my money. Don't steal my money. Don't take my money. The Jia County magistrates lying on the couch suddenly opened his eyes and shouted, You're awake? My little prince has instructed me to ask you where you feel unwell when you wake up. What do you want to eat? Beside Jia County magistrate's bed, a person who had just tucked him and saw that he had woken up and asked in an indifferent tone. Only then did Jia County magistrates realize that he was lying down. He looked around and met the person's gaze. He asked, Where am I? Li family Zhuangzi. You fell into the water and were rescued by the little prince's people. He asked you where you feel unwell and what you want to eat. The person serving him was a little dissatisfied with Jia County magistrate's silly look and repeated what he had just said. Jia County magistrates recalled what happened before he fainted and finally understood. He nodded to the person beside him and moved his legs under the blanket. He said, I'm fine. I feel comfortable. Just a little sore. I'm hungry. Do you have porridge? Give me a bowl. Jia County magistrate spoke respectfully. After all, this was the little prince's person. After the person agreed and left, Jia County magistrates suddenly remembered something important. He touched his body with his hands and found that his clothes had been changed. He lifted the blanket and carefully checked. From inside to outside, there was not a single piece of clothing that he had worn before. Jia County magistrates panicked. Where were his clothes? Where were the two things inside? The seal was in the hands of the Yamen runner, so he was not afraid of losing it. But where were the two things that cost 13,000 strings of cash? Just as he was anxiously looking for his things, the door was pushed open. The person just now came in with a tray and put it on the small table beside the bed. There was a big bowl of porridge and 2 small pickles. That was all. Jia County magistrates was not in the mood to eat at this time. He looked at the person who brought the food and asked bravely, Excuse me, where are my clothes? And the things inside? I washed them. You mean the small seal inside, right? There is also the jade pendant hanging on your waist. You can keep it. If you want it, I will give it to you. Who cares about that stupid thing? The waiter said and turned around to leave. Jia County magistrates waited anxiously. After a while, He came back and put the two things in front of Jia County magistrates. Jia County magistrates looked at the two things that he did not care if they were lost or not. He asked again, "What else?" "Half a piece of wood and half a piece of jade. I have been carrying them with me." "No, just these two. The little prince would not take your things. When he was changing your clothes, the little prince was beside you. No one dared to take your things. Maybe he dropped them when he saved you and wanted to find someone to get them from the lake." The waiter's face turned ugly. How could he ask for the things after saving someone? Could it be that someone could take them? If he drowned, what else would be precious? It was good enough that he was still alive. Jia County magistrates naturally understood what the waiter meant, but that was 13,000 strings of coins. He believed that no one would keep those two things. If they did not know what they were used for, they would not be worth much. Besides, the little prince was beside him. Could it be that they really fell into the water? But how could he get them out? Unless he drained the water and asked someone to shovel the soil bit by bit. No, that would not do. The Zhang family, Zhuangzi, and the little prince would not agree to let him go. Yes, he had to find Han Wangzhu. What was there to be afraid of if the things were gone? The money was still in those two places. A piece of wood and a piece of jade added up to about 100 strings of coins. Thinking of this, Jia County magistrate smiled at the waiter and said, "I was anxious. Sorry. May I know what time it is now?" "It's already 4:45. Hurry up and eat." "I heard that when you fell, you poured out everything in your stomach, vomiting and spitting. You're lucky to have met my little lord. Otherwise, who would have saved you?" The waiter pointed at the porridge and pickles as he spoke. Yes. Thank you, little prince. I'll eat. Jia County magistrates did not dare to say anything else. He was indeed hungry, so he ate the porridge with the pickles. Only after he finished the porridge and pickles did he feel really comfortable. He vomited from top to bottom. There was not a single spot that did not hurt, but in his heart, he felt sullen. If the little prince had not been there, how could he have pushed the boat over? However, if he had gone, he would not have capsized, and he would not have lost his things. The people of Zhangjia Zhuangzi would not have saved him. If they had saved him a little later, they would have said that it was not in time. What else could he do? The imperial court would not have said anything. No one had harmed him. No, how could he have capsized in the middle of the lake? Even if there was a wooden stake below, it should have been stuck there. He did not move it at that time. There must be something wrong with the boat, and the fisherman deliberately returned it to him. Yes, that must be it. When he saw the Yamen runners dragging him to the shore, he deliberately tampered with the boat and almost caused him to drown. Jia County magistrates found an excuse for capsizing. Even if he did not believe it, someone had to take responsibility for him falling into the water. Otherwise, how could he die in front of the little prince? He could only let the fisherman suffer. Thinking of this, Jia County magistrates was in a good mood. He was about to go back and tell Han Wangzhu about the lost things, but he found that his whole body was sore and weak. He could not use his strength. He could only sigh and lie back down. He would leave tomorrow morning. If you are done eating, tell your men. They are still waiting outside the courtyard. The little prince's courtyard is not a place that anyone can enter. The servant did not want to be angry with a person who almost drowned, so he reminded him, "Okay, please call one in." Jia County magistrates just remembered that there were still Yamen runners. They would not leave him alone and go back to the Yamen. After a while, Yamen runner came in. When he saw Jia County magistrates, he cried, "My lord, you are finally awake. If you did not wake up, what should we do? My lord, please don't be so rash next time. 2 of us swam to save you, but we almost could not get out of the water. The water was cold." Okay, don't cry. Everything is fine now. Did you catch the fisherman who borrowed my boat? He was the one who did something to the boat. Jia County magistrates did not know whether Yamen runner was really concerned about him or worried that he would be implicated. He persuaded him and asked about the fisherman. Yamen runner was stunned. He looked at Jia County magistrates blankly and said, "My lord, at that time, all of us were watching. How did he do something? No one thought about him. My lord, when you fell into the water, we wanted to get you out. Then we followed you here. How could we find the fisherman? He is not from Sanshui County. How could he not do anything? If he did not do anything, why would my boat capsize? Did I deliberately flip it in front of the little prince and show it to the little prince? It must be that person who did something. You just did not find it. Jia County magistrates insisted. Yes, my lord, you are right. That person did something. Do you still remember what that person looked like? I will find someone to draw him and arrest him. Yaman Runner followed the conversation. Anyway, that person was long gone. Where could they find him? Jia County magistrates pondered for a while and shook his head helplessly. I can't remember. I did not pay attention to him at that time. He seemed to be wearing rough hemp clothes. His trousers were rolled up and he was wearing a bamboo hat. I was even more confused when he was submerged. Didn't you see him clearly? Jia County magistrates had been thinking hard, but he found that he thought of some fishermen's clothes. They could not go everywhere to catch fishermen, not to mention that they were not from Sanshui County. They could only pin their hopes on the Yaman Runner. The Yaman Runner would not say anything. Yaman Runner shook his head and said, I didn't see clearly. I will ask the other brothers later. I am sure that it was definitely that fisherman who did something. Well, that's it. You can find a place to stay tonight. Come back early tomorrow morning. Jia County magistrates also wanted this sentence. He just wanted to push the blame to someone else. He gave another order and pretended to be tired. Yaman Runner nodded. My lord, you should rest early. We will come back early tomorrow morning. I will take my leave. Chapter 236. Light snow fell, and the north wind blew. A fast horse was not fast enough. Yesterday, a boat sailed on the water. Today, it was hard to find money. In the morning, Jia County magistrates hurried to between the clouds and the water to find Han Wangzhu personally. Before he could open his mouth, Han Wangzhu said, Sir, are you in good health? I heard that you fell into the water yesterday and were saved by the little prince. You are very lucky. I'm fine. I slept for a night, but my head is still a little groggy. I choked yesterday. Today, I have something to tell you. Jia County magistrates laughed and was about to tell him about the missing items. However, he didn't know how to open his mouth. The feeling of asking for money was different from the feeling of being given money. Han Wangzhu immediately said, Sir, it's fine if you have something to say, but you are not feeling well. Do you want to find some medicinal herbs? No. When I fell into the water yesterday, I dropped 2 items. They should have fallen into the water. Those 2 items were the ones you gave me the day before yesterday. It's not easy to find them at the moment, so I want to tell you so that the money won't be taken away. Jia County magistrates didn't want to say directly, give me 1 more item and I'll go get the money, so he could only find this excuse. Han Wangzhu smiled and said, Sir, you are right. I will send someone to inform them. Sir, please stay here for 1 more day. I will go back to get something else. Sorry for the inconvenience. It's not inconvenience, not at all. It's a good opportunity to taste the wine and dishes here. You can go now. I'll go back too. Jia County magistrates was relieved. He couldn't bear to be indifferent in front of others, so he got up and left. Han Wangzhu didn't dare to delay. Before he came here, his family had told him that the Zhang family and the Wang family were not simple. He had to pay attention to anything, even if it was a very small matter. Otherwise, he wouldn't know how to deal with it. Yesterday, the county magistrate fell into the water. Today, he came here to say that he lost 2 items. Were they really lost or not? Did it fall into the water, or was it picked up by someone? Even if the person who picked it up didn't know what it was for, they still had to be on guard. As a result, Han Wangzhu found the people here and got someone to ride a fast horse over to inform them. Go and come back quickly. They were waiting here. Outside, the light snow was blown by the wind, hitting his face like a knife. The man brought 3 horses, but when he arrived at the place, his face was swept by the wind and snow, leaving behind 2 horses at the farmer's house. However, when he arrived at the place, he almost fainted when he received an even bigger piece of news. Yesterday afternoon, the money had been taken out by someone and left for the docks. As for where it went, he had no idea. The man drank a mouthful of hot soup, found something to cover his face, and changed 3 horses to rush back. When Han Wangzhu heard about this, he was also stunned. His family's 5,000 strings of coins and the Yuan family's 8,000 strings of coins were not a small amount, but it was taken away by someone just like that. Wasn't it the Jia County magistrates who asked for it? At least, that was what he said. He said that it fell into the water and it was really lost. Or did he ask someone to go back to the county to take it away the night before? This was the only reasonable explanation. If someone else picked it up, they wouldn't know where to get the money. Could it be that the Jia County magistrates thought that the money was too little and asked for more? If that was the case, then he was too greedy. He didn't know whether it was good or bad to cooperate with such a person. Han Wangzhu held the 2 items that had been put together in his hands. After thinking for a while, he asked someone to go back and report this matter to the family head. At the same time, he got up and went to find the Jia County magistrates. Maybe he could find out something. The Jia County magistrates sat in a room on the 2nd floor of Between the Clouds and the Water. It was already 10:00 in the evening. He was waiting for Han Wangzhu to bring him new things so that he could withdraw the money. After waiting for an entire day, the more he waited, the more anxious he became. The dishes were placed on the table, but he didn't seem to want to eat. He only sat there and drank a mouthful of wine. Han Wangzhu still hadn't come. Just as he was about to go over to chat and ask secretly, Han Wangzhu finally came over. When Han Wangzhu saw the Jia County magistrates in the room, he was less suspicious of him. It seemed that he was in a hurry to get the money. If he really did withdraw at once, he wouldn't be in such a hurry. "Hey, you're here? How's the matter?" When the Jia County magistrates heard the sound of the door opening, he looked over and saw Han Wangzhu. His eyelids drooped as he asked if the token had been brought back. "Sir, look at this." Han Wangzhu put the 2 pieces of wood and jade together on the table. The Jia County magistrates was still in a daze. When he saw the 2 items, he immediately became happy. He touched the 2 items with his hands to separate them. He picked up the 2 pieces that he should have and said with a smile, "You're really trustworthy. Your master is indeed a trustworthy person. He sent mine back. I don't need these 2 halves. I'll keep them as backup. You guys are really amazing. When I fell into the water, you guys? No, that's not right. Why are these 2 halves here too? Could it be?" As the Jia County magistrate spoke, he finally realized something. Looking at the other 2 halves on the table, an idea suddenly appeared in his mind. Someone took the 2 halves that he had and went there to withdraw the money. "Sir, you guessed right. These 4 pieces were taken from the shop of Chongqing and Wufeng in the county. They appeared there at noon yesterday." Han Wangzhu looked at the Jia County magistrates and said. The Jia County magistrates was stunned. Suddenly, he shouted, "That's impossible. That's impossible. Before I fell into the water, I had been carrying them with me. When I woke up yesterday morning, I even looked at them. How could they be in the county within half a day? Are you suspecting that I asked someone to take the money and want to ask for another one from you? I'm surrounded by Yamen runners. There's no one else. How could the Yamen runners do such a thing for me? I don't want to live anymore. If the Yamen runners know that I took your money, it's definitely not me." "Sir, don't worry. You're right. You don't have anyone by your side who can help you, so you won't give your things to others. I suspect that when I was talking to you the night before yesterday, the Yamen runners standing outside the door overheard our conversation. Ordinary people might not be able to hear it, but your Yamen runners are not good people. Who knows if there's someone with good hearing among them?" When Han Wangzhu heard this, he felt that it made sense. What's more, the people he brought with him yesterday were also watching in the dark. They didn't see any Yamen runners leave, and they didn't see anyone else. The Jia County magistrates didn't see anyone else. If he saw anyone, it was the people from Zhangjia Zhuangzi restaurant. He couldn't be so close to the Zhang family to say such things and give the token away. The only possibility was that the Yamen runners outside the door overheard their conversation that day. When the county magistrate fell into the water, the 2 items were taken away, and they quickly rode to the county to get the money. Han Wangzhu told the Jia County magistrates what he thought after that. The Jia County magistrates shook his head. "The people who saved me yesterday were the little prince's people. If the little prince was interested, he could have just asked for it. I wouldn't dare to say anything. It's not impossible for him to give it to the little prince. It must be someone else with good swimming skills who saw the 2 items fall from my body into the water and swam down to get them. In addition, the Yamen runners overheard it, so the Zhangjia Zhuangzi sent people to the county to get the money. If I had known, I wouldn't have gone to the pavilion. Why bother? Go and ask who went into the water yesterday. I think you'll know. Sir, more than 100 people jumped into the water yesterday. In the end, only the little prince's people were able to get you out. Can we ask them one by one? Do you think the Zhangjia Zhuangzi will let us ask them? Han Wangzhu shook his head and explained the situation yesterday. Seeing that the Jia County magistrates was at a loss, he said, Sir, the reason you wanted to go to the pavilion yesterday was not that simple. Everyone knows that fishing is not allowed to make such a loud noise. However, how long did the firecrackers go off yesterday? The room you ate in just happens to be facing the pavilion. Do you think it's such a coincidence? The more the Jia County magistrates listened and thought, the more he felt that things were not that simple. He was supposed to leave yesterday, but suddenly the firecrackers went off. He thought about the way the waiter seemed to be urging him to go and take a look. There was only one fishing boat on the river. How could it be so coincidental that it stopped at that place? Were there fish there? That's right. That person cast a spinning net. The water was so strong. Why didn't he hang the net? When the weather was cold, the fish would be at the bottom. Why didn't he use the net? He grew up in a fishing family. Who would be stupid enough to cast a net to catch fish in that place? This was all part of his plan. He must have planned it all out. Zhang Zhong, you've gone too far. I'll fight with you. The Jia County magistrates finally realized what was wrong. He stood up and was about to rush out while shouting. Han Wangzhu quickly held him back and used one hand to cover the Jia County magistrate's mouth. He couldn't let him shout like that. If others knew, they would only laugh at him. Besides, he was a 7th grade official. What if he asked? The moment he shouted, his momentum weakened. Sir, don't make a noise. Do you want the Zhang family to laugh at you? Sir, you don't have to worry about losing the money. Sir, please sit down first. Han Wangzhu tried to stop him while persuading him. At this time, the waiter outside the door came in and asked, Sir, what's wrong? Nothing. You can leave. I didn't ask you not to come in. Sir just wanted to find someone to drink with. He drank too much. Han Wangzhu couldn't say anything else. He asked the waiter to leave and tried to persuade him in a low voice. Sir, they'll be happier if you do this. When you've calmed down, we'll deal with them together. Money is a small matter. Don't worry about it. The Jia County magistrates pouted like a child. He sat on the chair and drank another cup of wine. He muttered, They're too much. When I took office, they didn't leave me any money. I didn't dare to touch Chomping Warehouse. There's a lot of food there. It's not much money. If I touch a little, it won't be enough. If I touch too much, it'll be troublesome. The deputy county magistrates, the chief registrar, the deputy riding officer, and those Yamen runners are not my people. When I go out for a walk, they follow me. When I say I want to lock someone up, the Yamen runners object. I don't dare to make a decision. When my mother wants to eat some blood tofu, I have to help her kill pigs. When I'm here, I finally have some money. Before I can take it out, it's taken away by them. I almost drowned. Who's the county magistrate? The only thing I can do as the county magistrate is to stamp the documents that others bring to me. Brother, don't you think I'm a coward? Tell me. Coward? Then we. Sigh, Zhangjia Zhuangzi is hard to deal with. Han Wangzhu listened to the Jia County magistrate's drunken words and felt sympathy for him. Chapter 237. The sky is not cloudy, and the two mountains meet. Wild birds chirp in the forest, and the sound of the flute. The small village is named Qin, and the wind blows away. On the 22nd day of the 12th lunar month, it was the Lunar New Year. 20 bailiffs escorted the 3 carriages and the county magistrate to the farthest village in Sanshui County, Qin Village. It was a place where many people from the imperial court were trapped. County Magistrate Jia got out of the carriage and turned around to look at the 2 carts that were used to transport goods. He had paid for everything in the carts with his own money. There were 200 kilograms of vegetable oil, 20 dan of wheat flour, and 10 dan of rice. According to the rules set by County Magistrate Chung of Sanshui County, Qin Village was the furthest away from the county and was not close to other places. Some of the things in the village had to be traded bit by bit. It could be said that it was the poorest place. Soqin village was the first stop. They would get closer and closer. When the people in the county sent the goods, it would be around 30. The only difference was that the goods sent by County Magistrate Cheng were paid for by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. To be precise, they were paid for by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Since County Magistrate Jiao wanted to earn money, he naturally had to fork out his own money. Oil, flour, and rice arrived first. There were still 2 carts behind them. The carts carrying the goods would arrive later. Those carts were filled with cloth and meat. All the goods were bought by Jia County magistrates from Zhangjia Zhuangzi. The price was 20% higher than usual. The reason was very simple. It was almost the Lunar New Year, so why would the price not increase? After sending the goods to all the people in the county, they would need to spend 6,000 strings of coins. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan earned 90% of the profits. They gave 30% to the farmers, and the rest was their own money. It was not much compared to the docks, but it was very meaningful, especially for the farmers. Although they only got 30% of the net profit, it was 20% higher than usual. If they sold the things they raised at home, others would try their best to lower the price. Since the main family was in charge of selling things, the farmers did not have to worry. The main family would help them to lower the price. He clearly knew that the Jia County magistrates wouldn't dare to say anything to the Zhang family. After being bullied once, he finally behaved himself, at least for the time being. 6,000 strings of cash gone just like that. When the Jia County magistrates saw those things, he felt as if his heart was being dug out. He muttered and followed the yamen runner forward. Fortunately, there were many mountains, and the wind from other places was blocked by the mountains, so it was not that unbearable. It was noon, and the sky was still dark in the morning. Someone was playing a flute, making a whining sound. Usually, the Jia County magistrates liked to listen to this kind of flute sound, also known as a flute. It was low and rhythmic, and it was particularly harsh to the ears today. Old hunchback, don't let the child brag. Come and get your things. The county magistrate has sent something to the village. Yamen runner, who had been following beside the county magistrate, shouted loudly. His voice echoed in the mountains. When the flute sound stopped, dozens of people ran out in front of them, and some were leading donkeys. There was nothing better than donkeys on this kind of road. 2 days ago, I heard from the yamen runner that the magistrate would come personally to deliver the things. I didn't believe it at that time, so I tried to ask people to wait here today. I didn't expect that the magistrate would really come personally. Magistrate, I thank the magistrate on behalf of the villagers. Old hunchback Muramesa bowed in front of the Jia County magistrates and said with a trembling body. The Jia County magistrate's heart was bleeding, but he still had to show a caring expression on his face. He went forward and held the old man's hand. Uncle, I'm late. Quickly ask people to take the things back. There will be vegetables and meat in a while. Besides spinach and cucumber, the vegetables will be served. I hope everyone can have a good New Year. Speaking of vegetables, the Jia County magistrates wanted to cry. Without these vegetables, how could he spend so much money? The poor people in Sanshui County were determined by the disaster this year. Basically, all of them were poor. Except for those who had their own zhuangzi and were too embarrassed to ask for these things. The others would not be so polite. He was the county magistrate. When it came to giving things, the people would think of the kindness of the imperial court. If it was someone else who gave things like this, maybe the people would not accept it. But were the people really poor? When the weather was not cold, they sold liangpi and Chinese crepes. When the little Luoshui wharf was built, there were more than 700 yamen runners working at the wharf. Except for 2 brothers or father and son, there was 1 yamen runner per family. There were at least 600 families who did not have to worry about being poor. He spent 6,000 strings of coins. After being an official for more than a month, he did not get any money in the county. When he got some money from other places, he had to spend almost half of it. When the Jia County magistrates saw the villagers happily putting things on the donkeys, he did not know whether to feel resentment or helplessness. A few days ago, the Jia County magistrates was robbed of 13,000 strings of coins by Zhangjia Zhuangzi. After drinking too much, he complained. The Han family and Yuan family made up for the original amount. It was not more, not less. It was as if the money was not lost. But before the new year, the Zhang family did not give anything this year. The Jia County magistrates did not have the guts to not give a single copper coin. The people were used to the gifts given by the imperial court during the new year. It did not matter how much was given. As long as something was given, the people were happy and felt that the imperial court was still thinking of them. In the end, the county magistrates and the registrar made a list of people's names, addresses, and how much should be given. They also made it into a notice to let the people know. There were really people who were grateful and went to the yamen to kneel down and kowtow. The Jia County magistrates had no choice. He sent someone to ask which merchants in Sanshui County were willing to give the money. There were indeed people who were tempted, but because of the power of the Zhang family and Wang family, they did not dare to accept. They kept pushing back and forth. When the time came, the Jia County magistrates had no choice but to pay for it himself. He wanted to buy some from the streets, but the amount was too small. By the time he bought it, the new year would have passed. He could only look for Zhangjia Zhuangzi. There are still 7,000 strings of coins left. There shouldn't be anything else to spend, right? That's too ruthless. In one go, he took away 19,000 strings of coins from me. The Jia County magistrates looked at the happy expressions of the villagers and walked to the side alone to think about it. After thinking about it for a while, he said it out loud. "Sir, you said that you would take out 19,000 strings of coins to give to the people?" The Yamayaman runner, who was following him like a ghost, heard it and asked, "I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. Go and help. Are you going to stand next to me and slack off?" The Jia County magistrates was shocked. If he did not respond quickly enough, the yamen runners would spread the news and write a notice over there. Where would he find so much money? The village was almost done. They could not finish loading everything in one go. They still had to do it twice. The village chief asked someone to drive the donkey away. He went to the front of the Jia County magistrates and said, "Sir, you are really a good official. With these things, we won't have to worry about the new year. Sir, if you want to come to the village to drink water, please get on the donkey." The Jia County magistrates looked at the steep road and shook his head hard. "Uncle, I will leave 2 yamen runners here to watch. You should go first. I have to go somewhere else to deliver things." "Oh, then we will delay you." "Sir, you are busy. We will leave first." The old man was easy to talk to. If he did not want to go, then he would not go. His legs trembled as he walked, and he still had to run back and forth. Seeing that most of the villagers had left, the Jia County magistrates breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at the road and thought about what the yamen runners said. He would lose a layer of skin if he went there once. "Sir, should we take advantage of this time to check out the situation of the nearby families?" The Yamayaman runner suggested to the Jia County magistrates. The Jia County magistrates was most annoyed by the Yamayaman runner now. He had no good way to get rid of him, so he could only bear with it. "Okay, let's go back. As long as we see people, we will go to the 3rd family." "The 3rd family? Okay, we will go as you say." The Yamayaman runner agreed and helped the Jia County magistrates into the carriage. At the same time, he gave a look to the yamen runner next to him. The yamen runner immediately got on the horse and left. There were only 17 yamen runners left in the group. They wandered in another direction. After walking for an hour, they saw a small village. There was no Zhuangzi here. There were only 40 or so families living here. The surrounding area was all land. There were also some small mounds of soil planted with hemp that were not completely covered by the snow. The Jia County magistrates also knew about these things when he was at the fisherman's house. The hemp should be soaked in snow at the beginning of spring. Then, they would be put into the river and used to make rope. The hemp rope made in this way was stronger than when it was soaked in water directly. People liked to use this type of hemp when they were weaving fishing nets. When the Jia County magistrates and the others arrived at the first family in the village, there was already a dog barking in the courtyard. It only stopped when its owner called it back to its nest. The Jia County magistrates naturally did not want to be bitten by a dog. He really went to the 3rd family in the village. In the courtyard surrounded by acacia trees and thorns, a woman was protecting a 1-year-old child and learning to walk. The child tried his best to raise his legs and tried to put them down. Finally, he fell down. Ah! The Jia County magistrates saw the child's clumsy appearance and thought of the situation when his own child was learning to walk. He could not help but laugh. "Sir, what are you laughing at?" a yamen runner asked. "Nothing. I just think that this child is interesting. It seems that this child is stronger than other children." The Jia County magistrates stopped laughing and said to the yamen runner, "Sir, this child may be stronger than other children, but he is much weaker than the two little ancestors of the Zhang family and the Wang family in Zhuangzi. Those two, go in and ask, how are the children and their family doing?" The Jia County magistrates directly interrupted the yamen runner. He hated the two Zhuangzi the most and felt uncomfortable when others mentioned them. The yamen runner immediately said, "Sir, there is no need to ask about this place." The child inside is the yamen runner Song Yang's son. "Sir, you can go in." Song Yang's parents are also inside. His family is a little short of money. The Zhangjia Zhuangzi gave him a few times and did not give enough to his family. "Sir, why don't we go to another family?" "No need. We will go where I say." "Oh, so we met the yamen runner's family. Okay, follow me in and have a look." The Jia County magistrates did not think much of it at first, but when he heard the last sentence, he was secretly happy. He made up his mind and walked in. Chapter 238. When the Jia County magistrates was about to enter the courtyard, the woman inside had already noticed him. She raised her head and took the child back into her arms. She said to the Jia County magistrates, "So it's you, county magistrate. I'll go back and ask my in-laws to come out." While speaking, the woman didn't even look at the other yamen runners. She carried the child into the courtyard. Immediately, an old man and an old woman came out. They looked very happy. They hurried to the entrance of the courtyard, opened the door, and said to the Jia County magistrates, "Sir, I didn't expect you to come. Please come in." "Uncle Song, today we are—" "Oh, you are here too. The room can't fit all of you. Find a place for yourselves." The old man didn't wait for the yamen runner to finish his words. When he faced the Jia County magistrates again, a smile appeared on his face again. "Sir, this is a joke. Our house is small, and we don't have anything to serve you. Yang doesn't know how to behave. Sir, please keep an eye on him." The Jia County magistrates carefully looked at the courtyard. The ground was covered with snow, and only the road under his feet was paved with sand. He then looked at the house. The window paper had been used for a long time. It was yellow and black, and many of the roof tiles were broken. When he walked into the house, he only saw 2 bricks near the threshold. The rest of the house was covered with dirt. There were only 3 rooms in the house, 2 big and 1 small. The big room was probably used for living, and the small room was used as a kitchen. A burst of smoke came out of the kitchen, accompanied by a child's light cough. "Sir, please sit here." After entering a room, Song Yang's father rubbed the edge of the Kong with his sleeve and said to the Jia County magistrates with embarrassment. Usually, the Jia County magistrates would never sit here. But today, he suddenly had an idea. He immediately walked over and sat down. He touched the mat and found that it was warm. It wasn't cold, so there should be a fire. He already understood what the Kong bed was. After removing the mats and mud bricks, the inside was not too complicated. It was nothing more than some mud or bricks piled up according to some order. It could be seen in any house in Sanshui County. However, the furnishings in the house and the clothes the family of 4 were wearing were not that good. Wasn't the life of the yamen runners all managed by Zhangjia Zhuangzi? Why was his family like this? Why did his family treat the other bailiffs that way? Jia County magistrates noticed this. After sitting down, he asked Song Yang's father, "Brother Song, your family seems to be a little short of money. Are the other yamen runners in the same situation?" "Sigh. To be honest, only a dozen yamen runners in Yang-er's family are like this. Children are immature and easily offend others." Song Fu sighed and said, "Oh, that's not right. Song Yang, this official knows about him. He's an honest and hardworking person. To think that his family would end up like this. Big brother Song, this can't go on. I have some money here. Big brother Song, take it and use it." Jia County magistrates finally found an opportunity. He took out a few pieces of broken silver and a string of more than 40 copper coins from his sleeve pocket. He pulled Song Fu's hand and stuffed it in. When he didn't want to eat, he had to go to some designated places to prepare. He always had more than 20 taels of silver with him. He didn't think it was heavy. This time, he took out 12 taels of silver and 3 taels of silver. Song Fu took the money and returned it with trembling hands. "Sir, you can't do this. How can I take this money?" "Sir, please take it back. At home. It doesn't matter. Brother Song, you have a good son. This money is nothing." Other Yamen runners can take other people's money, but I can't give it away? Jia County Magistrate certainly wouldn't take the money back. He glared at him and pretended to be unhappy. "Milord, you're really good. Milord, don't worry. When my son comes back, I'll tell him to listen to Milord's words and never slack off." Father Song said excitedly, his face red. Jia County Magistrates was relieved when he saw Song Yang's father take the money. He looked at the house and said with a smile, "Brother Song, I didn't bring the money from the imperial capital with me today. Tomorrow, I will find a way to make life easier for Brother Song's family." These words meant that he was going to leave. He was afraid that the Yamen runners outside would be anxious and find out something was wrong when they came. Song Fu hurriedly stood up to see him off. When Jia County Magistrates came out, the Yamen runners didn't even enter the yard. They just stood outside. Jia County Magistrates felt a little relieved. "Sir, should we ask someone to take the things to the next house?" "Sir will be there at the same time." Yamen runner arranged the affairs of Jia County Magistrates at this time. "Okay, to the next house." This time, County Magistrate Jia didn't look angry at all. He agreed very naturally. Since he had made up his mind, he didn't mind wandering around the county these few days. He had spent the money, but he still needed to leave a good reputation. After a whole day, Jia County Magistrates dragged his tired body back to the Yamen. As soon as he entered the Yamen, his face darkened. He said to the 2 Yamen runners guarding here, "Where is Song Yang? Ask him to come here." "Humph! How dare he do such a thing?" One of the 2 Yamen runners left in a daze. The other one went to Jia County Magistrates and asked, "Sir, what happened to Song Yang? Did he do something wrong? I can guarantee that Brother Song usually does the best things. My house is not far from his. His house is the same as mine. We don't have many things. Life is a little difficult." Jia County Magistrates was delighted. He felt that he had found another person he could rope in. When he was about to speak, he suddenly thought of something. He said with a sullen face, "It has nothing to do with you. I have my reasons for looking for him. He is too unreasonable." "Humph." After saying this, Jia County Magistrates walked towards the study. He felt a wave of fear. He felt that except for Song Yang, everyone around him could be Zhangjia Zhuangzi's spy. When the time came, who could be roped in? He had to ask Song Yang. From the situation of his house, it could be seen that Zhangjia Zhuangzi didn't take care of him like other people. Since there was a child in the house, it was reasonable to say that Zhangjia Zhuangzi should give him some benefits. It didn't take long before Song Yang came in from outside. It seemed that he had run all the way back. There was a lot of sweat on his forehead, and the hair beside his ears was wet. "Sir, are you looking for me?" Song Yang panted a few times and tried to steady his breathing. "Well, you're back? Sit down and drink some water." Jia County Magistrate smiled and said to Song Yang very kindly. He poured a bowl of water for Song Yang and gestured for him to drink. Song Yang seemed to be a little nervous because he had never been treated like this before. He clasped his hands together and said in a low voice, "Sir, if you have something to say, please tell me quickly. I will do it right away." Jia County Magistrates waved his hand and said, "Actually, it's nothing serious. But if you want to say that you have something to say, it's not a small matter. Let me ask you, why didn't you tell me about your family life? Are you afraid that I will harm you?" "Sir, you went to my house?" Sir, there is nothing in this humble one's home. You won't even be able to drink tea when you get there. What are you?" Song Yang had a vexed look on his face as he spoke in embarrassment. "There was water, and even plain water is delicious. I am satisfied to be able to drink such good water from a Yamen servant's house. Song Yang, this happened because of you. Why didn't you tell me about your family's situation?" If this official had known about it, how could I have let your family live in such a poor state? Come, here is some money. Take it first. I left some for your father. When I came back, I thought that since the new year is coming, that money is not enough to do anything. As Jia County Magistrate spoke, he pulled out the drawer of his desk. There were 2 ingots of 10 taels of silver inside. Jia County Magistrates took out the money without thinking and pushed it in front of Song Yang on the table. Song Yang looked at the money in a daze and said a little worriedly, Darren, this little one also knows about this little one's family matters, but how can I let Darren worry about it? Darren, I didn't expect that you have already left money for the family. Then this little one absolutely cannot accept this money. When it's almost 30 years old, this little one may be able to bring some things home. You expect Zhangjia Zhuangzi to give it to you? Look at the other Yamen servants, and then look at you. That Zhangjia Zhuangzi clearly doesn't like your family. If I didn't know about this matter, it would have been fine. But since I saw it, I can't just ignore it. Take it. I order you to take it. As long as you do well in the Yamen in the future, I will definitely not treat you unfairly. Jia County Magistrates looked at Song Yang's expression and was very satisfied with the effect of the money he took out. He said loudly and forced the money into Song Yang's arms. Song Yang covered the place where the silver was placed with his hand and said emotionally, My lord, you are so kind to me. If my lord needs anything in the future, I am willing to do my best. This is great. I don't have to worry about not having anything during the new year. My lord, there are actually some people like me. Really? And other people's lives aren't good? Didn't Zhangjia Zhuangzi give you anything? Jia County Magistrates pretended to be surprised and asked. They did, but it was very little. Others gave 1 dan of grain, but when it came to me and those people, it became less than 1 dan. We are all Yamen servants, so why do they get more? I just had a child not long ago. If it wasn't for the fact that I don't know how to do other work, I really don't want to continue being a Yamen servant. Song Yang's face showed a sad expression. As he spoke, he lowered his head. It seemed that he was really unconvinced. Jia County Magistrates wanted this. He smiled, stood up, and patted Song Yang's shoulder. He said, Song Yang, I have high hopes for you. In the future, you will definitely be better than others. Oh, there are other people like your family? In that case, let's go. Follow me to the storeroom at the back. You tell me how many people you have. I will give you 30 taels each. You can add 10 more. Today's harvest is a little bad. I have decided to let you people who only know how to work and are not valued have a good new year. How much do you need? Let me think. 1, 2. Sir, there aren't too many people. In total, there are only 33 people. Compared to the other 600 people, it really can't be less. Song Yang had heard Jia County Magistrate's words, so he began to calculate. In the end, he gave a number, 33 people. Jia County Magistrates didn't think that it was too little. 33 people, including Song Yang himself, would be 34 people. It would only cost him a little more than 1,000 strings of money. As long as he could make these people listen to him, he wouldn't mind taking more money. It was better than having spies around him all the time. Song Yang was so excited that he didn't know which leg to take. He kept saying, Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. When they arrived at the place where the money was kept, Jia County Magistrates was a little embarrassed. With so much money, it was impossible to let Song Yang carry it out alone. First of all, it was too heavy. Second of all, he had to personally hand it out. Therefore, he said to Song Yang, Go and find those 33 people. Go and find those 33 people. Remember, when you come, don't tell them what's going on. Also, watch those people carefully. If any of them have a good relationship with the Zhang family, don't call them over. Do you understand? Understood. This lowly one understands. This lowly one has been waiting for this day for a very long time. Sir, you can rest assured that this lowly one will definitely find someone as good as this lowly one said. But sir, where did you get so much money? What if someone finds out and makes trouble for you? At this time, Song Yang showed his clever side. He assured Jia County Magistrates and said worriedly. Jia County Magistrates was even happier now. Song Yang didn't know where his money came from. This meant that Song Yang wasn't trusted by Zhangjia Zhuangzi. In this way, He could finally find some useful people around him. As for who was reliable or not, he would find out after trying some things. Thinking of this, Jia County magistrates said to Song Yang, "You don't have to worry about the money. Just find those people. Don't worry. After the new year, I will make you a small leader." "Humph, those people want to cheat me. I won't let them get away with it." "Yes, I understand. Thank you for your trust. I will go find them now." "Sir, please wait for a moment," Song Yang said excitedly. He turned around and ran out of the yard. Looking at Song Yang's leaving figure, Jia County magistrates was not so relieved. He felt that he had to test a few more times. Otherwise, if one of them was secretly left behind by the Zhang family, it would implicate too many people. Thinking of this, Jia County magistrates took out the money that he should use. In order not to be discovered by the other Yamen runners, he didn't take out cloth this time. He only chose some small pieces of silver and copper coins. It was easy to carry around and wouldn't be seen by others. After a while, Song Yang came back first. He was the only one who entered this place. He said to Jia County magistrates, "Sir, I didn't find everyone. I only found 20 people. Should I let them come in first? Or should I help you take the things out?" "There's no need to go out. Let them all in. I don't doubt the people I use." Jia County magistrates showed generosity this time. He knew how to buy people's hearts. It was just that he didn't have the opportunity before. Now that he found a breakthrough, how could he be willing to give it up? Song Yang stared at Jia County magistrates for a while. He nodded seriously, turned around, and ran out. When he came back again, 20 Yamen runners who looked very honest were following behind him. Jia County magistrates was even more calculative. It seemed that Zhangjia Zhuangzi liked those who were slick. He didn't treat honest people so well, especially the Yamen runner whose surname was Tang. It turned out that he was a hooligan. Zhangjia Zhuangzi would only use people like this. "Sir." Under the lead of Song Yang, the 20 Yamen runners saluted and greeted him at the same time. Their voices were loud and clear. "Good, good. All of you are good. I didn't see wrong." When County Magistrate Jia heard the orderly voices, he was happy. They were real Yamen runners, not some random hooligans. "Come here and let me take a good look at you. It's a pity that such capable people like you are being ostracized in the Yamen. Don't worry. As long as I'm here in the future, I don't think I'll let you worry about your family. Come, one by one. I'll give you money for the new year." Jia County magistrates looked at the 21 Yamen runners carefully. The more he looked, the more he felt that this was a good idea. He said a few more words, put the money in front of them, and greeted them. "Sir, are you really going to give us money?" "My lord, how are we supposed to repay you for what you've done?" One Yamen runner was so excited that he cried when he saw the money on the ground and heard what Jia County magistrates said. Jia County magistrates wanted to see this result, so he was also excited. He deliberately put on a calm expression and said seriously, "You are all Yamen runners in the Yamen. How can I not take care of you? How can a Yamen runner who is always worried about his family's life do a good job? I am the county magistrate of Sanshui County. It is my duty to let the people under my jurisdiction live a good life. How can I repay you? As long as you work hard in the future, it will be the best reward for me." "My lord, I only know now that my lord is a good official. In the past, when I heard others say that my lord came here to do bad things, I really believed it. My lord, I'm sorry. My lord, don't worry. I won't believe what others say in the future. If anyone dares to say it again, I'll let them know how powerful I am." At this time, the other Yamen runner also started crying. No one knew why he was crying. Not only were his eyes red, but his face was also red. He looked like he was in great pain. Jia County magistrates was happy. When he heard what the Yamen runner said, he quickly said, "No, I don't care what others say. Don't argue with others on this matter. After a long time, they will understand my painstaking efforts. Do you remember?" He was afraid that if those people really said something, the 21 Yamen runners in front of him would go over and explain and tell others that he was the one who gave the money. Then these 21 Yamen runners would probably leave the Yamen and be followed by people at all times. Song Yang was the first to promise, "Sir, don't worry. I will listen to you. I will do whatever you say. Even if others say bad things about you, I will not make trouble." With one yamen runner taking the lead, the other yamen runners also promised, "Yes, that's how it should be. Come over one by one. I will give you the money." Jia County Magistrates was temporarily relieved. He picked up some copper coins and silver pieces and gave them to the yamen runners one by one. Every yamen runner who received the money was trembling. Some of them wanted to say something, but they couldn't and looked like they were about to cry. After the money was given out and they put it away, Jia County Magistrates felt relieved. He thought that it was time to test them, so he said, "Tomorrow I will go to Linha village in the county to take a look and send some rice and other things there. Tomorrow you will go over there to patrol. Remember, if you meet other yamen runners, don't let them know. I always feel that yamen runner came from a gangster background and can't achieve great things. Songyang, you also have an important thing to do tomorrow. Don't be on duty. No matter what other people do, you have to go to Shao Luo Shui Pier and see if there are any ships docked there. Also, you have to write down the goods on them." Song Yang performed the best among the yamen runners. When he heard Jia County Magistrate's words, he immediately answered, "As you command, sir." The other yamen runners also answered, but this time they were not as orderly as before. This made Jia County Magistrates understand that this was not practiced in advance. "Then it's done. You can leave. Remember to go home quickly and ask your family to buy some things for the new year." Jia County Magistrates waved his hand and let the yamen runners leave. After the yamen runners left, Jia County Magistrates paced back and forth in the courtyard alone. From time to time, he recalled the expressions of those yamen runners just now. He wanted to know which was fake and which was real. In the end, he found that all the yamen runners' eyes were red. Some of them were even gnashing their teeth when they talked about Zhangjia Zhuangzi. After pacing back and forth for half an hour, Jia County Magistrates did not find anything wrong with any of the yamen runners. However, he was still worried. He went back to the backyard and found his wife. "Tomorrow, find 2 of our family's servants and go to Shao Luo Shui Pier to see what kind of ships are coming, what goods are on them, and how much they cost. Remember, you have to change your clothes, change your hairstyle, and paint your face." "Master, did something happen? If there is danger, why don't we resign from this position and leave this place as soon as possible? I have been worried that this is not a place we can control." When Jia County Magistrate's wife heard his arrangement, the first thing that came to her mind was that there was trouble or even danger to her life. What do women know? Where is the danger? No one can control your husband. When there is an opportunity, I will show them what I am capable of. Remember, don't make any mistakes. Jia County Magistrates did not want to hear such words the most, especially now that he felt that he had people he could use. How could he leave? Wouldn't he be laughed at by those who also wanted to fight for the position but did not succeed? "Master, you're right. You are the most capable. I will arrange it now. Master, you should rest early too." Jia County Magistrate's wife immediately knew what to say. She followed his meaning and turned to leave quietly. Jia County Magistrates was happy because of what had happened today. With his wife's obedience, he said to her who had not gone far, "I will go to your place tonight. You can sleep there." Chapter 239. Another snow fell. The children's games did not disappear because of the change of seasons. Without too many worries, they could always find something to make them happy. At least, the children of the Zhang family and the Wang family were like this. When the first children opened the door in the morning and saw the snow outside that was up to their calves, what the children had to do was to carefully raise their feet and put them down again, leaving their own footprints on the white snow. The farmers who had nothing to do in the winter were busy clearing the snow. Smoke drifted in the sky above Zhuangzi, showing the strength of the Zhang family and the Wang family to other Zhuangzi. Breakfast was not something that everyone could eat. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also woke up early. The 2 of them did not need to go to school, so they ate a few meat buns and drank a bowl of goat's milk. Then, they took Pomegranate and the others out to find fun things to do. Pomegranate no longer made the dough and handed it over to others. She planned to teach this technique to the shops in the capital at the beginning of spring. The planting of fungus and tremella also stopped. Pomegranate really did not know how to control the temperature in winter. Cherries also stopped hatching poultry. During this season, the chickens and ducklings would freeze to death and be placed in the house. There was not enough space, so Xiaohong also handed over the feeding of the chickens to others. Erniu and Huzi were idle at home, so they just happened to follow along. The 7 of them went straight to the fields. There was more straw in the fields than other places. In the autumn, they collected a lot of straw outside. Some of it was used for the fire, and some of it was directly pressed into the fields in the spring. This year, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan planned to adjust the planting process again. The stubble that was left behind after the rice was cut would not be dug up. After the water was poured into the field, the rice seedlings would be directly thrown out. The original rice straw would also be pressed into the water. According to Zhang Xiaobao, this would have the effect of covering the ground and suffocating the other weeds. This method could save a lot of effort. The straw itself contained the nutrients that the rice seedlings needed. The 2 of them didn't know how effective it was, so they decided to take a portion and try it out first. When the other portion was not watered, they would first update it, flatten it, and then water it. The rest would be done as they did last year. When the time came, they would use whichever method had the best effect. Wang Wan had also set aside half a mu of land for her, and Zhang Xiaobao to carefully take care of it. They would usually take care of it diligently and apply some of the methods they could think of as an experimental field. As for whether it would be successful or not, it was yet to be verified. According to the theory of their ancestors, the 2 of them wanted to find a plant in the field that had no males and could not develop. Then, they would choose a more plump one to crossbreed. Wang Wan thought of this when she was lying in the snow. She turned around and asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Do you think the hybrid rice will succeed? Why do I feel that our theory is somewhat incomplete? If we don't succeed, we will have worked for nothing for a year." So what if we worked for nothing for a year? We worked for nothing for so many years. You have to believe in yourself. Do you know what a male sterile rice looks like? I think all the rice seedlings look the same. It's a bit difficult. Zhang Xiaobao was confident and determined, but he didn't know how to distinguish them. This was the most difficult part. Wang Wan shook her head like a rattle drum. She had never learned this before. Occasionally, she would take a look at other people's theories, but she wasn't interested. She guessed and said, "Does sterility mean that it doesn't grow when other rice seedlings have already grown? There are many that don't grow. Which one is male and which one is female? It's not like animals. You can tell at a glance. If it really doesn't work, you can try it one by one. We have a lot of people, so we can mobilize the power of the masses. As long as it doesn't grow, we can get them all and teach them our advanced theory. The power of the masses is the greatest. Take pomegranate, for example. Didn't she say that she would continue to cultivate mushrooms when the weather was warm? It's still pine mushrooms. As long as we persevere, we might be able to get other mushrooms. It's the kind that is raised with sawdust. It's very cheap, more than 1 yuan per kilogram." Zhang Xiaobao was preparing to pass on his confidence to others. Wang Wan knew that he was shirking his responsibility. She didn't know how many people would be driven crazy by this theory when the time came. "I think you are gloating. Pomegranate is a meritorious person. The fungus can be a key public relations tool. Jia County magistrates ate well. I heard that he took more than half of the 1 kilogram of fungus given to him and sent it to Beijing. I don't know who he sent it to. Yes, there is such a thing. Give it to him. Send him another 1 kilogram tomorrow, and let him continue to give it to us. After a few times, we will cut off the fungus supply. Let's see if the person who is used to eating it will take the initiative to ask him for more. If he doesn't have any left, we will take over. We are not afraid that they will be greedy, but we are afraid that there will be no way to give it to them." Zhang Xiaobao had put a lot of effort into this matter. He wanted to build a huge network of connections and cooperate with Wang Wan to create a big family. Wang Wan nodded, looked at the 5 people around her, and said to Zhang Xiaobao that Jia County magistrates is too greedy. He still doesn't know how to restrain himself after being taught a lesson twice. Didn't the person who rushed over last night say that the bailiffs we arranged have already been bought over according to our original plan? This is called persistence. If only he knew how to farm. We can give the task of hybrid rice to him. Speaking of the fungus, I suddenly thought of something. How do you think ginseng should be planted? If you plant more than 100 mu of ginseng, you will be rich and eat it like radishes. Zhang Xiaobao's thoughts jumped. Wang Wan didn't even dare to think about planting ginseng. Don't think about it. We don't even know what ginseng seeds look like. Yes, it's cold now. It's suitable for nourishment. Go to the pharmacy to buy some ginseng and stew it for the week. Cut it into slices and put in less at a time. Wild ginseng is not like garden ginseng. It's easy to eat the whole thing. I found that my grandfather's health is not good these days. Come with me later. It's tiring to be young. Later, we will distill the wine and buy live deer. I want to make wine for my grandfather, especially the deer blood. Buy a few more and directly chop the antlers at the beginning of spring. We need the antler blood. What else can be used to make wine? Help me think about it. I don't want to lose my family because of a small illness before I grow up. Kicking the snow in front of him, Zhang Xiaobao also pondered. In the past, he only wanted to provide nutrition to his family. Now, it seemed that he had to get some Chinese medicine to warm up, especially for rheumatism. The weather was cold. In the past, he didn't sleep on the Kong bed. When he was tired, he fell down asleep. Now that he was old, his legs couldn't keep up. He had to find a way to warm up. It's a pity that we don't have a good prescription. In the past, Grandpa Director also made some Chinese medicine to drink or brew. There are many kinds of herbs that I don't remember. I think there are some mulberry tree roots, leaves, and branches. This is the simplest. I don't know the effects. I spend money to buy prescriptions from the people. Let's go to your house for lunch today. Okay, what do you want to eat? Wang Wan also wanted to go home and have a look. She stayed at Zhang Xiaobao's place all day. Usually, when she visited her family, it was them who came over. Occasionally, she would go out with Zhang Xiaobao to play, but it was just around at home. When Wang Wan asked, Zhang Xiaobao stopped and looked up at the sky. After thinking for a while, he said to the person beside him, Huzi, go to other Zhuangzi and see if there's anyone willing to sell a black dog. Buy one and kill it. We'll go to Cuckoo's house for lunch. Huzi obeyed the order and left. Zhang Xiaobao then instructed Ying Tao, take out some of the dried vegetables that we specially dried in the sun during autumn. You have to dry them in the shade. Soak some soybeans and prepare coriander as well. Cherries also left. Zhang Xiaobao then instructed pomegranate. I made 13 spices. There's a paper bag with the word thick written on it. Go and get 2 bags. Remember to bring some orange peel. Go to Cuckoo's house first and ask them to cook it with our chili bean sauce. Add a few more scallions. Remember to not add soy sauce. Little young master, I'll go now. Pomegranate knew that the little young master was good at cooking. Thinking that there would be good food for lunch, she shouted happily and ran away. Be careful, don't fall. Wang Wan looked at Pomegranate's lively appearance and shouted behind her. Seeing that Pomegranate didn't hear her at all, she shook her head. Hey, you have no rules at all. Xiaohong pursed her lips and smiled. She liked to follow the little young master and the little young lady. Unlike other people, who would be whipped if they made a small mistake, they had to follow the rules only in front of outsiders. Usually, they could do whatever they wanted. Wang Wan had eaten dog meat twice before. She heard that it was not good for women to eat dog meat. When she ate it at first, she always felt that the taste was a little bit fishy. She touched Zhang Xiaobao and asked, Is dog meat fishy? Yes, fishy. If it's not cooked well, it can't be eaten at all. You can rest assured that I will cook it. At this time, I will use cumin that others don't like. At noon, I will make 2 kinds of dipping sauce for you. One is sauce, and the other is salt and pepper. It's a pity that I don't have chili. Where can I get some? Mountain chili seedlings are not suitable for that. Zhang Xiaobao thought of a special dish to go with the dog meat pot. Generally, when eating dog meat pot in the northern area, people would ask before entering the restaurant. You can get it by going to sea. Ask someone to ask if there are any people who go to Guangzhou by sea now. See if they bring back any souvenirs. What if there are chili in the souvenirs? What are you talking about? Do you have to use chili? When Wang Wan heard Zhang Xiaobao mention chili, she was a little hungry. When she ate chili before, she didn't care and didn't even want to eat it. Now, she wanted to eat it, but there was none. Without one thing, it would be less delicious. Besides, chili could resist the moisture. Zhang Xiaobao gestured with his hands. Spicy fish, especially in a restaurant owned by North Koreans. When eating dog meat, ask if there is spicy fish. If there is, eat it. If there isn't, absolutely not eat it. If it is not an authentic North Korean dog meat restaurant, I will make that sauce. The scallions in it are the most delicious. I put that sauce when eating spicy cabbage. The taste, let's not talk about it. You can't eat it. What you said makes me hungry. Let's go over there to play and build a house. Wang Wan was swallowed by Zhang Xiaobao's words. Even if she had just eaten, she still wanted to eat it. Well, when the children have a break at noon, we can let them play. Zhang Xiaobao made himself not think about food. He pulled Wang Wan and ran forward. With a plop, 2 human figures appeared on the snow. Chapter 240. Erniu, put that bundle of straw over here and lay it on top of the snow. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao directed Erniu and Xiao Hong from the side. It was just moving the straw. Originally, the 2 of them wanted to help as well, but Erniu and Xiao Hong were so scared that they didn't agree no matter what. What if the rice pile fell down? Out of the 4 people, 2 of them moved their mouths and 2 of them exerted their strength. As they were working, the villagers who came out to clear the snow on the road saw them and hurriedly came over. One of them respectfully said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Little young master, what are you doing? We'll help." "Okay, make something that children like to play with. Move the straw down and listen to me in cuckoo." Zhang Xiaobao pointed at the rice pile and said. The villagers didn't care whether they were playing with it or not. When the young master and young lady asked them to work, they directly did it. Even if the 2 little ancestors had nothing to do, it didn't matter if they asked people to take the straw down and pile it up again. With the help of these people, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's work sped up. After 2 hours, a layer of straw covered the entire 2 mu of land. On top of it, there were 2 bundles of straw piled together and formed a triangular space with the ground. These triangular spaces were arranged in rows like a maze. There were numerous forks in the road. Some of the paths even had a house made of straw. Occasionally, there would be a small space made of 4 bundles of straw on the side of other paths. The adults now understood that the young master and young lady wanted to drill inside. They had done this before when they were young, but it wasn't as big as this one. It was only a few feet long. Okay, after a while, the children can come here to play after school. Zhang Xiaobao clapped his hands and said happily. Wang Wan was also admiring this masterpiece on the side. She thanked the villagers and went in through one of the entrances. She sat on the straw inside and said to Zhang Xiaobao through the wall, "Xiaobao, can you add some more fun things? Think about what we like." Zhang Xiaobao knew that Wang Wan meant what she wanted to do when she was young. He stood there and thought for a while. "Go to the grocery store and take out some of the things we collected. Put them in all the passageways and let them look for them. If they find them, they'll be theirs. It's New Year's Eve today. Let them be happy. Okay, make some more food. Wrap them in oiled paper, just a little at a time. Also, ask Erniu to make some more straw bales and bring over the small shovels that we asked people to make," Wang Wan added. At this time, Huzi, who had gone to kill the dog, came back. Zhang Xiaobao instructed him on how to deal with the meat and also went into the grass. He felt the size of the space and found that the child could pass through it. This time, he was satisfied. "Xiaobao, it's almost New Year's Eve. Will the Han family and the Yuan family make a move before this? Last time, that Han Wangzhu guy didn't even tell the county magistrate how he was going to scheme against us. It's better to know early. If they make a move in these few days, what should we do?" Wang Wan asked Zhang Xiaobao as she peeked out from the grass. "They dare? If they really make a move in these few days before New Year's Eve, I'll make them regret being born in this world. If they don't let me have a good New Year, I'll make them unable to have a good New Year's Eve." Zhang Xiaobao was most annoyed by people who came to make trouble during New Year's Eve. At this time, the people who came to make trouble were the most immoral. They didn't want others to have peace at the end of the year. Wang Wan nodded. She thought for a while and asked, "What should the Jia County magistrates give for New Year's Eve? Just 500 grams of black fungus? Just 500 grams of black fungus? Didn't someone pay for it? Other than giving him money, no matter what we give him, he won't be grateful to us. He even asked someone to watch the dock today. It's frozen over there, right? After New Year's Eve, he will ask someone to start shaving ice. Zhang Xiaobao was very clear about this kind of human nature. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to scheme against him and get him into the water. It's been frozen for a long time. It's not that cold this year, but the wind is stronger. Have you forgotten that the ice at the dock has been cleared a few times? It's good that it can last until now. Let's stop. The ice has damaged a few boats. It snowed last night, so no boats will come today. I'm afraid that they will be stuck in the ice and can't go back. Wang Wan said at the side. As long as they wait for another 2 days, the swimming pool and the pond would be covered with ice to make ice lanterns. Yes, I forgot. It's just a small matter. I didn't think about it. These days, I have been thinking about how to scheme against others. They don't want to live a good life, but they have to find trouble with us. These people. Zhang Xiaobao sighed. Wang Wan suddenly laughed. Now you are annoyed. Why didn't you think that others were also prepared to live a good life when you cheated them? Comrade Zhang Xiaobao, double standards are not good. Who asked us to live a good life now? If others want a better life, they can only get it from us. If you want a stable life, it's simple. Hand over all the prescriptions and sell the dock. Then they won't find trouble with us. You have been thinking for so many days. Have you thought about how to scheme against others? We can't always be passive. We have to take the initiative to attack. Didn't you say that you don't want me to cheat? Are you supporting me now? I don't want you to cheat people like them. They don't count. You don't have to cheat good people. You can still cheat bad people. They are already at our doorstep. If you don't let them know what's good for you, you will be sorry for your evil tricks. Wang Wan directly positioned him as a bad person. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan's angry face and laughed. He lay on the grass and said, I have long had a way. There are a few that can't be used. They are too destructive and against the heavens. I originally prepared a program for them during the new year. Later, I thought about it and decided to be magnanimous. Grievances should not be solved during the new year. That's right. They are not on the same level as you. This is the power of accumulating knowledge. Then, look at them. They won't make a move. Wait until after the new year. When they do something big, don't bicker with them at this time. If you are not a gentleman, you are not a man. Wang Wan trusted Zhang Xiaobao the most in this regard. Zhang Xiaobao's brain was basically filled with all kinds of bad ideas. He was also a bad person, and a professional one at that. Unless he met those high-ranking officials in the imperial court, he might not have any opponents. Those powerful officials seemed to be born to plot against each other. Their IQ was not low, and they knew how to endure. The two of them chatted and changed positions from time to time. Otherwise, if they stayed in the same place for a long time, the straw would be warm and the snow below would melt. Time passed unknowingly, and the children were finally out of school. Today was the new year, and there were no classes in the afternoon. The children were going to go home directly, but they were called to the field by Xiao Hong. The children's minds were simple. A little fun could make them happy for the whole day. When they came to the field, they saw the houses made of straw and the passage. They shouted and rushed over. Xiao Hong followed and shouted, Don't be impatient. Don't be in such a hurry. There are still things to be said. The young master and young lady are also inside. You must be careful and don't get hurt. Today, the master has prepared a lot of small things for you, as well as food. They are all placed inside. Go and find them yourselves. Whoever finds them can have them. There are also small shovels and baskets for you to play with. When the children heard that there were so many other good things, they shouted even louder. They ran over to get some small shovels and other things before they got inside. There were a total of 4 entrances and exits. When they looked from the outside, they couldn't tell which way to go. After they got inside, it was dark inside. The light outside could only shine in a little, making it even more difficult for the children to determine the direction. This kind of mystery was also what the children liked. When they got inside, when they encountered a fork and saw people coming from other places, they would laugh when they saw them or scare them. Some children deliberately hid so that others couldn't find them. There were fun things and food inside, making them feel that they could spend the night here, or even live here forever. The little girls gathered in 2s and 3s, took the small buckets and other things, and found a small house at the side to play house. Usually, when they played, they didn't have such professional tools, and it was even more impossible for them to eat anything. Now that they had food, they could really eat it after cooking. That's great. Let's leave this place for a few days and wait for the spring plowing to tear it down. In fact, not only children, but also adults are willing to play this kind of hide-and-seek game. In fact, it's a kind of mysterious feeling in an unknown place. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people exploring. This year, I must dig out tunnels below. We can make cellars inside, and we can also go from one place to another without people outside seeing. Xiaobao, how deep do you think we can dig? Can we connect the tunnels from Zhuangzi to between the clouds and the water? Seeing that the children were playing happily, Wang Wan also became interested. She hit at a fork and scared the two children. After laughing, she told Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao recalled that there were so many brothers and sisters who used to play hide-and-seek at night when it was a little dark. He smiled comfortably and said, "Who knows how deep we have to dig? It's probably not a small amount of work. Those emperors died, so the tombs they built should be deeper. Ask others and see how they dig. When the time comes, we can learn how to dig. Let's go and play house. In fact, we don't have to play here. We came here to play house. It's their childhood. Let's try to let them have more happy memories." Wang Wan nodded and went forward first, humming a song. Zhang Xiaobao wrote the lyrics, "On the snow by the pond, the children are calling winter." Wang Wan went faster, as if she wanted to stay away from Zhang Xiaobao. Chapter 241. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The children on Zhuangzi didn't need the adults to look after them. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan played with them for a while, then prepared to go back for dinner. The children took the tools and the straw that Erniu had brought down and found new fun. They dug a hole in the snow outside and then spread the straw over it. This way, they could connect the holes to the passageways. Seeing them play, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan came out, looked at each other, and smiled. Then, they walked towards Wang Wan's house. Xiao Hong and the others followed behind. When the children were tired of playing, they would naturally go home. When summer comes, we will build many corridors and small canals here. Then, the children will have more places to play. Having a place to play is really a blessing. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the children's unchanging smiles and said with emotion, "Yes, in fact, the adults are the same. Otherwise, why would they go on a trip? There are also some private clubs. In fact, in our hearts, we all want to have a place to play, a space that belongs to us, and we can decorate it according to our own ideas. This is the reason why we specially built small houses next to the passageways." Wang Wan was still excited. She felt as if she had returned to her childhood. Looking at her small hands, she smiled and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. "Indeed. When we go back, we should also make a few smaller passageways in our own yard. When we are free, we can play hide and seek with Pomegranate and the others." "No, don't build those passageways. We should build them outside. When we build the corridors, we can build some small houses for the children to play in. We can also put some semi-finished products in those houses. Add some tools, and they will be able to do it themselves. We can't just let them learn and become bookworms in the end." Wang Wan thought of an even better idea and began to paint a picture of the future. Zhang Xiaobao was inspired and said, "Anyway, it's our own farmstead. When summer comes, not only do we have to let the children have a place to make things, but we also have to specially arrange some places for people to watch over. Put the charcoal on the table and put some cut meat and vegetables on the side. Make more dry tofu. I like to eat that thing that is baked with green onions and other vegetables wrapped in dried tofu, or just dip it in the sauce and eat it. The children will do it themselves. Use bamboo skewers to grill the food themselves. Just don't let them translation. Actually, you don't have to worry about this. Even the slightly older children can already help us translation." Wang Wan was already hungry. She didn't eat anything when she heard Zhang Zile. She swallowed her saliva and urged, "Don't talk. Let's go. Let's go. A frying pan that was completely different from Dong Lishan hot pot was placed on the shelf. Below it was a charcoal fire. It was not so hot and was slowly warming. The dog meat in the pan was cooked, and the soup was bubbling. Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Wang Wan's family sat there. There was no other dish except for the hot pot, mainly because it affected the taste of the dog meat. Wang Wan's family was very happy today. They looked at the two children and gave them food from time to time, especially Wang Wan's grandfather. When he heard that this meal was specially prepared for him, he kept smiling. Like a child, he picked up the dog meat, dipped it in sauce, and dipped it in salt and pepper. He also looked at his granddaughter and granddaughter from time to time. This matter had already been settled. They were just waiting for the two children to grow up and hold the wedding. When the time came, they would have grandchildren. No one could stop them. The two little guys were doing well. Grandpa, eat more scallions. Xiaobao used several kinds of ingredients to boil this scallion in soup. It's not spicy at all. It's good for the body. Wang Wan picked up a piece of scallion and put it on her grandfather's plate. This scallion was soaked in soup. It was soft and not spicy. It was refreshing and good for the body. Okay, eat. Xiaobao is very capable. In the future, Cuckoo will live a happy life. I'll live a few more years and see what happens in the future. Wang Wan's grandfather smiled and picked up the scallion, put it in his mouth and said while eating, Grandpa can live to more than 100 years old. These days, Xiaobao and I will make medicinal wine for Grandpa. Every morning, we will drink a cup of it. Wang Wan felt the warmth of the family and said, she had decided to distill the wine first. If it really didn't work, she would directly brew it. Originally, she felt that alcohol was useless, so she didn't do it. Zhang Xiaobao naturally had to pretend to be a child at the side. He obediently said things that made people happy. He didn't forget to pick up food for Wang Wan. He ate relatively less meat, drank a lot of soup, and even ate a big pancake. When Wang Wan's family saw that the two children had been together ever since they were born and even knew how to take care of each other, their mood became even better. The meal actually took more than 2 hours. Wang Wan's grandfather even ate one more bowl of rice than usual. The taste of the dog meat soup and rice was amazing. Lunch was finished in such an atmosphere. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also ate a lot. They held hands and walked outside to digest their food. These two children are really delightful. Husband, we don't have to worry about them anymore. With these two children, we don't have to think of ways to earn money anymore. Mother Wang said to Father Wang when she saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan walk out. Father Wang also had to admit that they didn't have to worry about the two children. He said, that's right. Now, they have more money than us. Haha, if I had this ability when I was young, then father and mother wouldn't be so tired. Wang Wan's grandfather saw that his son was blaming himself and said, it's okay to be tired. Every family is like this. You've grown up and you have Cuckoo. It's worth it. When you were young, your mother and I were afraid that you wouldn't grow up and wouldn't know what to do with a small illness. It's all in the past. I have to live for a few more years and wait for Cuckoo and Xiaobao to be filial to me. Father, then this new year, whose house will Cuckoo and Xiaobao be at? Father Zhang was worried when he thought of this. He couldn't separate the two children. Last New Year, they came here to eat first and went back at night. Let's see what Cuckoo and Xiaobao have to say. They can be wherever they want. It's not like they can't see each other. Wang Wan's grandfather didn't know what to do, so he could only push the matter to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao were also talking about this matter outside. They didn't know how to celebrate the new year. Both of them wanted to be with their families. Moreover, they had to keep watch at night and do a lot of other things. Why don't the two families celebrate the new year together? After the sacrificial rent, we can stay together and chat. We should hurry up and make firecrackers. This year, they will definitely be sold out. I wonder if Jia County Magistrate's eyes will be as red as Habai Tu's. Zhang Xiaobao was talking about the new year when he suddenly thought of Jia County Magistrates. It was the new year, so the firecrackers would definitely be sold well. Who wouldn't want to have a good time? Moreover, the marketing method of firecrackers was said to be able to ward off evil spirits. Wang Wan also thought of Jia County Magistrates. She believed that Jia County Magistrate's house would also set off firecrackers. She said with a smile, let's send more firecrackers to his house so that he will think of us when he sets them off. Okay. The first batch of firecrackers has been shipped to the county. The second batch will be shipped soon. In the Yamen, Jia County Magistrate sat in the study and listened to Song Yang. He narrowed his eyes at Wei Wei. It was hard to tell if he was happy or something else. Sir, there are no more boats today, so there is no more ice breaking. That's why I didn't remember anything. Song Yang stood respectfully in front of Jia County Magistrates. Jia County Magistrates nodded. He went out this morning to deliver something to someone in order to check on the new Yamen runners. He came back before noon because he wanted to see how Song Yang was doing and whether he had lied to him. However, there were no boats today, so he couldn't see anything. He still had to go there in the afternoon. There were still 20 Yamen runners there, so he had to check them one by one. Is there anything else? Is the person carrying the fireworks still there? Jia County Magistrates thought for a while and asked, Sir, the person carrying the fireworks has gone home for the New Year's Eve. I heard that the firecrackers sold well today. They were made by the Zhang family. They will probably send some to the Yamen. Sir, you have a lot of money. Not only will the people in Sanshui County buy them, but I heard that merchants from other places will also come early to buy them. Most of the firecrackers they shipped here have been taken away by boats. In the next 2 days, they may ship more by land. As long as they can send them to the Yamen before the night of the 30th, it will be fine. Sir, this is all money, Song Yang said. He wanted Jia County Magistrates to think of a way to get the money. This was also arranged by Zhang Xiaobao. He kept provoking Jia County Magistrates and asked the people around him to remind him so that the Jia County Magistrates would know how to deal with it. A sheathed sword was the biggest threat. Once it was out, it would be easy to deal with it. Jia County Magistrates was angry. At this time, when he heard that the Zhang family would make more money, he couldn't help but stand up and say, Come with me to Tuqiao village tomorrow to deliver New Year's goods to the villagers. Chapter 242. Counting, counting, counting. Looking to the east, it was snowing in winter, the bridge in the east, and the market in the east. There were a lot of people, a lot of people, a lot of noise, and a happy new year. 5 o'clock was not early, so the peddlers carried the goods. They sold New Year's pictures, garlic sprouts, and rice cakes. The wind was strong, and the snow was still floating, 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 floating from head to foot. It floated to the pine trees in the forest, and there was the sound of horses in the distance. Horses, horses, horses. There were so many horses. Who was it? It was almost the new year, and they were coming here in a group? Zhang Xiaobao was showing Wang Wan how to count the treasures when a lot of horses and 2 carriages came. Zhang Xiaobao stopped and stood there blankly. Wang Wan was also stunned. After a while, Wang Wan patted the snow on her head, stomped her feet, and said to Zhang Xiaobao, maybe they didn't prepare New Year's goods at home, so they didn't have enough time. They went to between the clouds and the water to eat, but between the clouds and the water will be closed during the new year. Xiaobao, am I right? I think so, or they don't have a place to stay at home. They came here to rent a few houses in the market, and when we calculate the money later, we can ask Su Si and Ergo to give them a discount. It's not easy to come so far. Zhang Xiaobao also followed Wang Wan's words. Today was the 24th day of the 12th lunar month. Between the clouds and the water, there were only a dozen wanderers whose homes were far away. They couldn't go back, so they found a place to stay at the back of the market. There were no other people. The market was lively, and it was estimated that no one would come for another 2 days. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stood on one side of the bridge. They were wearing thick clothes, and their arms couldn't even stick to their bodies. They could only stand there with their arms spread out. They looked like penguins with round and furry heads. If they were to change from white to another color, people would believe that they looked like 2 mushrooms from afar. They were penguins with mushroom hats. Pomegranate, cherries, Xiaohong, Erniu, and Huzi were standing by the side. Just now, they saw Zhang Xiaobao talking about something interesting and wanted to listen more. Then, someone came over. Pomegranate quickly crouched down and hugged the 2 mushrooms in her arms. She said to Erniu beside her, Let's go take a look. Erniu nodded. When he was about to run over, Zhang Xiaobao said, No need. Retreat. I think they are coming here. They are all tall and strong. It's scary. Erniu and Huzi immediately took one mushroom each and ran back with pomegranate and the other three behind. The people on the other side also saw the situation here. An old man looked at them and laughed. He said to the person who got off the car next to him, "The two most interesting little guys are the little ancestors of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan." Because it was still snowing, they could only see the two children being carried and running. At this time, the two children were no longer visible, as they were blocked by the people carrying them. The person who got out of the other car frowned and said, "That's right, sir. He doesn't know the rules of this family. He let the two children stay outside. Not to mention getting a car, but to find more people to protect them. If something goes wrong, it won't be enough even if they die 100 times." Hearing this voice, it was obvious that it was a woman. She should not be young. Her clothes were neat and tidy, and there was only a mink scarf around her neck. The old man laughed and said to this person, "What can go wrong? I heard that the two little guys are very smart, sensible, and obedient. Ever since they turned one, they have never cried or made a fuss. They are not like the other kids who are always looking for trouble for the servants who take care of them. Sir, if the people on our side are bad guys, what's the use of being sensible if they rush over and kidnap the two children?" The woman seemed to disagree with the old man's words. At this time, without waiting for the old man to speak, a guard next to him said, "Aunt Wang, we can't rush over. Look at the house in the market. There is a small room above the house. There are people inside, and there are hunting bows aiming at this side. Look at the people in the market. Many people have squeezed out of the crowd and walked to the side of the road." Hearing the guard's words, the woman looked in that direction. Sure enough, it was as the guard said. She asked doubtfully, "So what, Aunt Wang? If we rushed over just now, we would have been stopped by them." When the two children were picked up and turned to run, the people in the market moved. They are all farmers in Zhuangzi. The farmers of the Zhang family and Wang family are different from ordinary farmers in other places. They will protect each other with their lives. The guard explained again, "Fighting to the death is enough? Even if they run to the courtyard of the main house, they can be caught and tied up. There are so many of you. Can't you rush over?" The woman continued to speak. "Haha." The old man smiled and said, "If that's the case, it doesn't matter whether the children come out to play or not. Let's go. We won't go over first. Let's go to between the clouds and the water. You haven't been feeling well these days and have spent the new year here. You are the one who doesn't know the rules the most." When the woman heard the old man's words, she realized that she had said something wrong. She responded and followed the crowd to between the clouds and the water. Two maids came to accompany her. "Jujube, look at those farmers. Are they all wearing the same clothes? Why would they want to make the same clothes? When they wear them, they look strangely neat. It's easy to tell which one is a farmer and which one is a foreigner." One of the two maids whispered to the other next to her. At the same time, she pointed in that direction with her hand. The one called Jujube also saw it and said curiously, "It's true. It's really the same. Even the children are wearing the same clothes. I can't see what material they are made of. It shouldn't be coarse linen. Otherwise, it wouldn't be that color." The old man was not far away. When he heard the two maids talking, he put down his arrogance and said to the two maids, "This is why Leather Guard said that it wouldn't be easy to rush over." Leather Guard immediately followed and said, "Sir, you are right. The main family of the Zhang family and Wang family specializes in making clothes for the farmers. Although the clothes they make are not expensive, they are not cheap either. This year, they specially made clothes for work. When the children go to school, they have to change into looser clothes. They also build houses for the farmers and give them rice and meat during festivals. They also help the farmers raise livestock and sell poultry. The life of the farmers is not worse than that of some of the wealthier families. If someone wants to touch the little ancestor of their main family, how can the farmers not fight? Ah, they are so good to the farmers? Then aren't the people in the courtyard even better? Dezeo, how much worse do you think the people in their courtyard are compared to us?" Jujube opened her small mouth in surprise. Dezeo did not dare to ask the old man. He could only ask the leather guard next to him, "Big Brother Leather, can you tell us about their courtyard? Do they usually get a few copper coins as a reward?" "I'm not sure. Leather guard shook his head and looked at the person next to him. This person was not a guard. He was dressed like a student. When he saw the guard looking at him, he said, "I know a little about their courtyard. I know a little about this. I spent a lot of time asking around. The servants in their courtyard are divided into several different ranks, similar to the servants in other manors. All of the servants sign a death contract. Usually, there is a monthly salary, according to the stars. I didn't manage to find out more, but the lowest is 100 copper coins a month. There are a few special ones that I know. They are the ones who just left with the two little ancestors. One of them is called Cherries. She is in charge of hatching chickens. Usually, when she leaves Zhuangzi to do something, someone will follow her. The hairpin on her head is worth at least 70 strings of coins. There is also one called Pomegranate. She wears 2 bracelets on her wrist. Together, they are worth at least 300 taels. There is also one who is doing something outside and has not returned yet. His name is Song Jinggong. He is also a high scholar. I can't guess his net worth. He has the final say in Little Luo Shui. If he wants to eat, countless merchants will take the initiative to invite him. If he wants to play, countless scholars will follow him. This time, it wasn't only Date and Jujube who were surprised. The one who was called Aunt Wang also turned her head and carefully looked at the other side of the bridge, as if she wanted to see something. So much money, Date. We can't compare to them. 300 taels of coins bracelets and 70 strings of coins hairpins. If we can do something in the courtyard of Zhang family and Wang family, with our knowledge, then, Before Jujube could finish her words, Aunt Wang turned her head and glared at her. Aunt Wang, I was just talking nonsense. Jujube finally reacted and said something that she shouldn't have said. You don't know the rules. Zhang family and Wang family also don't know the rules in Zhuangzi. A servant who thinks about hairpins and bracelets all day long. How can she do anything? Wearing 300 taels of coins bracelets, how can she do anything? Is she adopted for nothing? Aunt Wang began to pick on this problem again. She didn't know that Pomegranate didn't need to do much work. She only needed to look after the fungus and tremella. Compared to the goods stored in the warehouse, 2 bracelets were nothing. The 2 maids didn't dare to speak anymore. They looked at the other side of the bridge with envious eyes and quickly turned back, lowering their heads and walking. Jujube saw her bare wrist and then looked up at the hairpin on Date's head that was worth 5 strings of coins. She used to be envious of that hairpin and pouted. Seeing that they were about to reach Yanshuijian, the leather guard came up to the old man and asked, "Sir, are you really going to celebrate the new year here? What about your family?" "My family has also sent someone to pick me up. My body is getting worse and worse. I'll spend the new year there, welcoming people and sending people off. After the busy period, I might not be busy anymore. I'll come here for leisure. After the new year, I'll prepare to retire and return home." The old man sighed, tried to straighten his back, and said with some helplessness. The leather guard naturally knew that the old man's body was really not good. Looking at between the clouds and the water, he thought that the scenery here was better. The food here was not worse than any of the big restaurants in the capital, and there was a courtyard at the back. He felt that it was good. But he suddenly thought of something. So he asked, "Sir, it's the new year. If other people go home, who will cook for you? Is it possible that people from your family can use the restaurant's kitchen?" Chapter 243. When the old man heard the guard's words, his footsteps stopped for a moment before he started walking again. He didn't say anything else. After the group entered a room on the 2nd floor, the old man said to the assistant, "Are you all going back during the new year?" The waiter thought that the visitor wanted to order food. Seeing that the visitor was asking about this, he replied, "Sir, I do need to go back. I am from the inner courtyard of the Zhang family's manor. When the time comes, there will be a lot of firecrackers in the courtyard. I can even receive a reward." The waiter knew this old man. Last time, Steward Zhang also called the old man Lord, so he followed suit. He could be considered the smartest waiter on the 2nd floor. This time, he answered more honestly and didn't say that guy or anything like that. "How much is the reward?" "I'll let you people from between the clouds and the water continue to work, and I'll give you double the money," Auntie Wang said proudly. She She only wanted to spend the new year here, but she didn't expect others to spend the new year not only because of money. Perhaps she was thinking that she couldn't go back to spend the new year, so she had to spend the new year with others. The waiter showed an awkward expression. Seeing that everyone was staring at him, he said, "Sir, guests, this is not a matter of money. I have a family, and I want to have a New Year's Eve dinner with my family. I have to. I'm asking you how much." Jujube asked. She didn't want to buy him not to go back for the new year. She just wanted to know how much the waiter from the inner courtyard earned. The waiter calculated, then raised his head and said in a low voice, "I can't say, but since you want to ask, I'll tell you. It's not much. My monthly salary is 50 copper coins. After working for so many days, it only adds up to a few hundred copper coins." When Xiao Zhao heard this amount, she and De Zhao looked at each other and revealed a relieved expression. This amount was not much. The two of them earned more than 80 copper coins a month. Including the money from tips, they could still save 2 or 3 strings of coins throughout the year. Just as the two of them were relieved, the shop assistant continued, "This is the monthly salary. The reward can be a little more than the monthly salary. The little one's work is barely enough to impress the master. It's estimated to be 120 strings of coins, and some other rewards such as cloth and meat." How much? How much money can you make between the clouds and the water in a year? Give you 120 strings of coins? What do you think? Aunt Wang was no longer as steady as before. She stood up all of a sudden. The shop assistant smiled bitterly and replied honestly, "I don't know how much money between the clouds and the water earns, but I do want this reward, or maybe more. Steward Zhang just told me yesterday that he would let me be a shopkeeper elsewhere next summer." The shop assistant understood that the reason he could get so much money was because he did a good job when dealing with people who wanted to scheme against Zhuangzi. He said 120 strings of coins, but in fact, it was more. When the owner gave the reward, it would only be more and not less. When the owner told him the amount of money, it would definitely not be that much. Zhao and Jujube stared at the shop assistant with a pair of eyes that contained many meanings. They wanted to see if this shop assistant looked different from ordinary people. 120 strings of bones and other things. What was this shop assistant doing? It was just serving a dish and saying a few words. Why was there so much? Why? At this time, Steward Zhang, who had received the letter, hurried over. When he heard that it was the Lord who came last time, he did not dare to neglect. When he entered the room, he saw the shop assistant there with an honest look. Everyone else was looking at the shop assistant. "Lord, you're here? I didn't expect to see you before the new year. I wish you a happy new year." Steward Zhang did not know what was going on, so he could only speak first. At the same time, he looked at the shop assistant. He felt that this shop assistant should not have offended anyone. He was the best shop assistant between the clouds and the water. "Don't be in a hurry to give a New Year's greeting. We can meet again. You seem to be lying." The old man smiled and looked at Steward Zhang. Steward Zhang was stunned for a moment. Of course, he was lying. A shop assistant should be honest. Between the clouds and the water would be over if the shop assistant was honest. However, he could not say that out loud. He glared at the shop assistant and asked, "Zhang Liang, how dare you lie to the Lord? Your 120 strings of cash this year is gone." "Yes, Steward Zhang. I accept the punishment." The shop assistant was also clever. He knew that Steward Zhang was just joking. He held back his laughter and respectfully replied, pretending to be sad. At this time, the others were stunned. They looked at the shop assistant and then at Steward Zhang. None of them knew what to say. Finally, the old man said, "Oh, I was wrong." The shop assistant told the truth. "We just asked him about his reward. He said 120 strings of cash. We didn't believe him. Since the housekeeper said it again, everyone here believed him. So that's how it is. My lord, this Zhang Liang may look clever, but he is actually the most honest person. He will answer whatever you ask him. Because of this, he has offended many people. The second floor is quiet and there are fewer people, so I arranged for him to stay on the second floor." Steward Zhang immediately followed up and said to the shop assistant, "Why don't you thank the Lord for interceding for you? Go home and see your mother at noon." Yesterday, the courtyard sent someone to make a prescription. Your mother's legs are also weak. Go to the fifth storeroom to get the things and make a bath for your mother. Also, get a ginseng and a chicken. Cut them into 2 pieces and bring them back to let Master and I cook for your family. You offend people outside all day and don't think about home. Thank you, Steward Zhang. Thank you. I will do my job well in the future. The shop assistant naturally knew who gave these things. The fifth storeroom belonged to the young master and his wife. With the medicine, his mother would feel better. Just now, the old man and others were surprised when they heard that the shop assistant's annual reward was 120 strings of cash. This time, they were surprised again. What was the shop assistant doing? Just now, Steward Zhang looked like he was condemning him. In the blink of an eye, he was giving medicine and ginseng. Even the chicken was prepared. The cheapest ginseng was worth more than 10 strings of cash. It seemed that he gave the whole ginseng to the shop assistant and asked him to slice it and eat it slowly. Aunt Wang pinched her leg with her hand and grimaced in pain. She knew that it was not a dream. She looked at Steward Zhang and asked, "Are you Zhangjia Zhuangzi's housekeeper? Can you give things to your subordinates casually? Don't you need to ask the head of the family? Don't you need to ask the madam? Are you doing this behind the family's back?" Steward Zhang did not know who this was. He wondered what the Zhang family's business had to do with others. Why should they care about him? After thinking for a while, he asked, "Sir, this is?" "Oh, this is the person who came with me. He is going to spend the new year here and won't go back. He is asking the shop assistant and others to stay and do some work. Do you think this will work?" The old man stared at Aunt Wang and said to Steward Zhang. Steward Zhang hurriedly said, "I can't make the decision. I will ask Master when I go back." "How could you make the decision when you gave the ginseng just now?" Aunt Wang said in a low voice, but her voice could still be heard by the people around her. She was afraid of the old man and did not dare to raise her head. Housekeeper Zhang was also curious when he saw the old man. Also, this old man should have helped in the capital. A few days ago, 2 officials in the capital had specially sent people over to take away the things written by the old master. The imperial nephew had not done anything yet, and County Magistrate Cheng had not gained a firm foothold yet. It was impossible for him to send 2 6th-rank officials over. So he could only say, "Sir, I couldn't manage this kind of thing in the past." Later, when the family had more money, there were more things to do. Madam was in charge of the family, and Master and Master were afraid that Madam would be too tired, so they gave me some rights to the 5th storeroom. Each time, the items are not more than 20 strings of coins. I can make the decision. When the time comes, it will enter the account and be checked once a month. As long as there is no mistake, it will be fine. When the ginseng was bought, it was 13 strings of coins, exchanged with pork and a chicken. The chicken was raised by the family, so it was only a few dozen coins. The medicine was ordered by the master. In total, it is less than 14 strings of coins. I can make the decision. Zhang Liang's mother has old cold legs. When she was young, she accidentally injured them when she was working for the master. Zhang Liang is the youngest child in the family. He has 2 older brothers. His eldest brother also broke his leg when he was working for the master. He is still doing some carpentry work for the master. "Sir, how can the master not take care of such a person?" Master often said that without them, there would not be the current Zhang family. What I did was not breaking the rules. After Steward Zhang said this, everyone fell silent. Zhang Liang lowered his head. His eyes were red. He wiped them with his sleeve and said to Steward Zhang, "Steward Zhang, I will work hard in the future. I will not lose face for the master. Even if I die, I will protect the master." Originally, it was a case of the master being nice to the servant and the servant being grateful. However, Aunt Wang muttered at the side, "What if something goes wrong?" "Shut up. What does the Zhang family have to do with you? Back then, you..." Sigh. "Now that I look at it, the Zhang family has the money and manpower. The last time I came here, it was this shop assistant who served me. He spoke flawlessly and did things steadily. Also, the people from the seedling protection team were not bad either. To be able to take care of the servants like this, the master must be very capable. If a servant can do this, how can the housekeeper be bad? If something goes wrong, the Zhang family will take care of it. Do you think this is your home? You are a housekeeper, and you want to take care of other people's housekeepers? At this time, the old man was angry and scolded Aunt Wang. That Aunt Wang did not dare to say anything. She was so scared that she almost knelt down. Dezeo and Jujube stuck out their tongues at the side and had a scared expression. The adults were angry. They usually did not put on airs when they came out. Now that they were done for, their future days would not be good. Steward Zhang was a little puzzled. It seemed that the Zhang family and the old woman who was talking had something going on. Could it be? Steward Zhang suddenly remembered something, but he was not sure. It seemed that he had to go back and tell Master and Madam. Yes, and the young Master and young lady. These people did not come for the young Master and young lady, right? Chapter 244. Steward Zhang said a few more words, then left Zhang Liang behind to take care of him. He hurried back home and memorized the face of the woman who always wanted to take care of him. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were playing Chinese checkers with the Jiang Wang clan. The three of them, each with a different color, were fighting fiercely on the wooden chessboard. Ever since the Jiang Wang clan saw Chinese checkers, it only took a few days for her to be on par with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Now, she even had a slight advantage in this game. Zhang Xiaobao sat cross-legged with one hand on his lap, ready to pick up the Chinese checkers at any time. The other hand held his chin and frowned, calculating carefully. Wang Wan was also muttering to herself about how many moves she should take, while the Jiang Wang clan played slowly, looking at the cute faces of her son and daughter-in-law from time to time. When Steward Zhang arrived, the Jiang Wang clan was only 5 moves away. If Zhang Xiaobao was Wang Wan and didn't move away the 6th move, he could also finish the game with her 5 moves. Then, Wang Wan would lose. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao's nervous face and smiled. She reached out to pick up the chess piece. Zhang Xiaobao quickly said, "You should know how to sacrifice yourself to protect your teammates." "I know, but you're not my teammate. Right now, we're divided into 3 powers. I'll be in the middle. You take your time." Wang Wan still picked up the chess piece. "Madam, you're here? And the young master and the young lady? When I was there today, I met another person. He looked to be in his 50s. There was a small scar under the corner of his left eye. When he spoke, his right eye would blink twice. His hair was coiled up and held in place with a wooden hairpin. It was the hairstyle of Feng Chao Tian. His right hand would unknowingly touch his left index finger and nose. You don't have to say anything. I got it. You came so early? I thought I could only come here after Master passed the exam. Steward Zhang, go and have people serve him well. Don't let Master know about it. It will disturb Master's study. Do you remember?" Before Steward Zhang could finish his sentence, Miss Jiang Wang already knew who it was. She closed her eyes and took 2 deep breaths before regaining her composure. She told Steward Zhang not to tell Mr. Zhang. Steward Zhang immediately replied, "I know, madam. I won't let Master know, but paper can't wrap fire. Madam, there's one more thing. That lord said that he wants to spend the new year here. So he wants the waiters and waiters up between the clouds and the water restaurant to continue working there. They can't go home until the 30th. I dare not agree." "Oh, this matter. The Zhang family and Wang family are not the only ones working in between the clouds and the water restaurant. There are also people from the Gu family. How many of them are there?" Miss Jiang Wang thought for a while and felt that this matter was not easy to handle. She already knew who that lord was, so she didn't want to go there immediately. It would be better to delay it until the end of the exam. "Mother, there are still a few days before the new year. Don't worry. Think about it slowly. By then, even if there are no people from the Gu family, the Zhang family and Wang family will be enough. But it's not good to not let them go home for the new year. We need to think about it carefully." Zhang Xiaobao spoke at this time. He didn't ask his mother who those people were and what they had to do with their family. He felt that his mother was a little conflicted about this matter, so he didn't want to bring it up. Wang Wan nodded at the side. At the same time, she reached out and stopped Zhang Xiaobao's hand that was about to mess up the chessboard. "Madam, why don't we do as the young master says and wait for a few more days? Oh, there are 55 people in total. I don't know if there are more people coming." Steward Zhang originally wanted to talk to the young master, but now he didn't have to go there. Miss Jiang Wang clan nodded. Then let's do it. Steward Zhang, thank you for your hard work. Steward Zhang said modestly and turned to make the arrangements. Miss Jiang Wang clan stared at the chessboard for a few seconds. When she was about to play, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly said, Mother, Cuckoo and I are tired. We won't play. Mother, you should also go and rest. Miss Jiang Wang clan looked at her son and patted his head. She said, Okay, Xiaobao and Cuckoo can go and rest. Mother will also take a nap. Mother has a good son and a good daughter-in-law. Mother doesn't need to worry so much. And don't worry. Our family has money, land, and government officials. Once Father passes the exam, let's see who dares to look down on our family. Mother, Cuckoo and I will go back. Zhang Xiaobao said casually and pulled Wang Wan out of the door and went to his own courtyard. Xiaobao is so smart. Looking at her son and future daughter-in-law, Miss Jiang Wang clan breathed a sigh of relief. The feeling of worry just now disappeared when her son said that last sentence. Xiaobao, are those people your relatives? Your mother doesn't want to see them. Did they bully your family? Wang Wan asked while walking with Zhang Xiaobao. Who knows? It doesn't matter who they are. What's important is that this is Zhuangzi and Zhang family's territory. No matter who they are, they have to follow our rules. Zhang Xiaobao said disdainfully. It didn't matter who they were. Zhangjia Zhuangzi was Zhangjia Zhuangzi. Even if the emperor came, he couldn't take them by force. Wang Wan saw that Zhang Xiaobao wasn't worried about her matters. She also wasn't worried. She put aside a small stone on the road and asked, Then have you thought about who will stay in between the clouds and the water to serve people? Last time, didn't 2 6th-ranked officials come to ask for your father's things? It should be that old man who did it. I haven't thought about it yet, but there's no rush. There are still so many days. Sometimes, when an idea comes, I'll have an idea. Don't always let me think about it alone. Help me think about it too. As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he was also thinking about how to handle this matter. That old man had some ability. He was already so old, and he came here to celebrate the new year. If he didn't serve him well, who would he arrange to serve? Who didn't celebrate the new year? Got it. Xiaobao, let's let the people from between the clouds and the water take turns. For example, on the eve of the 30th, just like last year, they will come to my house to eat first and then come back. The staff can do it too. On the eve of the 30th, they will come back after paying their New Year's greetings. Wang Wan suggested. She felt that it was a good idea. If it was in the past, no one would care about celebrating the new year. There would always be people in the unit who were willing to stay. Zhang Xiaobao thought about it and was about to nod, but then he stopped. No, there should be a better way. Let's go back and think about it. I like to think about things while eating. I will think about it while eating. While Zhang Xiaobao was thinking about how to celebrate the new year, Jia County Magistrates was thinking about how to make Zhangjia Zhuangzi's new year unhappy. When he heard about the firecrackers yesterday and calculated the possible profit, he finally couldn't hold it in anymore. When he woke up this morning, he asked some of the bailiffs he bribed to join the other bailiffs and bring the things he bought from Zhangjia Zhuangzi to Tuqiao village. In the afternoon, when they were still some distance away from Tuqiao village, a burst of firecrackers sounded. Jia County Magistrates lifted the curtain of the carriage and looked in that direction. He saw that it was a small Zhuangzi in front of an adult and a child playing with firecrackers. The firecrackers were so long that they were hanging from the tree. They rotated a few times before they landed on the ground. The crackling sounds made his ears ring. The carriage had already traveled more than 100 feet, but the firecrackers still didn't stop. Yaman runner, tell me, how many firecrackers were there just now? Jia County Magistrates waited for the firecrackers to stop. He pressed his hands to his ears, retched, and shouted outside. He didn't call for Songyang. He felt that he should hide and use the person he bribed at the most crucial moment. If he acted too close, it would easily arouse suspicion. Yaman runner came to the side of the carriage and said respectfully, Magistrate, I think that firecrackers with 20,000 firecrackers are cheap. The more you buy, the cheaper it will be. The Yamen has 300,000 firecrackers this year. There are also some things that can explode in the sky. If Magistrate is willing to set them off, you can set them off yourself. Cheap? Then setting them off like this is also money. A string of firecrackers can be exchanged for a few buckets of rice, right? Jia County Magistrate's ears felt better this time. He estimated how much the firecrackers could be exchanged for. Magistrate, you were right. It can be exchanged for a lot of rice. But that Zhuangzi has some spare money and is willing to set them off. We can't refuse them, right? Even if we don't set them off, we will still need to set them off. 1,000 firecrackers will cost 22 copper coins. 10,000 firecrackers will only cost 190 copper coins. 20,000 firecrackers will cost about 350 copper coins. Yaman Runner continued to speak and estimated the price of the firecrackers. Jia County magistrates felt even more uncomfortable after hearing this. He calculated silently. Ordinary people would buy at least one string of firecrackers with 100 firecrackers during the new year, right? That would be 3 copper coins. How many families were there in the county? There were more than 9,000 families registered at the Yamen. How much could the Zhangjia Zhuangzi earn? They could earn half a copper coin with 100 firecrackers, which was equivalent to 4 strings of cash. What about those who bought more? There were also those restaurants that were used to setting off firecrackers. After the new year, they would set off a lot of firecrackers when they opened for business. According to this estimation, they could earn thousands of strings of cash just by setting off firecrackers. And this was under the assumption that the Zhang family's firecrackers would earn less. People outside would also come to buy them. Zhangjia Zhuangzi's firecrackers were constantly shipped out. How were the firecrackers made? Taking them apart, they should be made with sulfur and charcoal. There should also be saltpeter. But the problem was that he had asked someone to make them, but they didn't make a single sound. This recipe seemed to be the most important one. There must be something else in it. No, he couldn't let Zhangjia Zhuangzi continue to earn money. He had to think of a way quickly. When people from other places know about this next year, they would all come to buy the firecrackers. Wouldn't they earn even more money? Yaman Runner asked them to speed up. If we are so slow, how will we have time to deliver the firecrackers when we arrive? Jia County magistrates was anxious and urged them. The team immediately sped up. Yaman Runner followed beside them and advised Jia County magistrates in the carriage, "Sir, don't worry. Didn't we say that we would stay here for the night? We can deliver the firecrackers tomorrow morning." Chapter 245. The team arrived at a village next to Tuqiao village. This was the place where the Jia County magistrates would deliver the goods. Some of the goods would be delivered to the Li family Zhuangzi village. There were a few families living a hard life there. The Jia County magistrates resisted the urge to look for Han Wangzhu directly. Instead, he led the Yamen runners to deliver the goods to the poor families in the village. The Jia County magistrates felt a little better when he saw the people who received the goods kneeling down and kowtowing with tears streaming down their faces. Even though he had spent a lot of money to buy the goods from Zhangjia Zhuangzi, the Jia County magistrates felt a little better. After delivering the goods to this village, the Jia County magistrates didn't plan to immediately deliver the goods to the villages next to the Li family. He ordered the Yamen runners to go to between the clouds and the water. He didn't go upstairs to eat. Instead, he led 4 Yamen runners to the courtyard where Han Wangzhu lived. 2 of the 4 Yamen runners were bribed by the Jia County magistrates, while the other 2 were to be dealt with in the future. As soon as the Jia County magistrates entered the courtyard, Han Wangzhu greeted him as if he had already known. The Jia County magistrates arranged for the 2 who weren't bribed to stand at the entrance and the 2 who were bribed to stand guard outside the house. This time, the Jia County magistrates and Han Wangzhu were very careful. They didn't even want to talk. After exchanging a few pleasantries, Han Wangzhu took out a pen and the 2 started to write on a piece of paper. "County magistrate, why are you here today?" Han Wangzhu wrote on the paper. "Zhangjia Zhuangzi is making money again. They are selling firecrackers. I don't know how to make them. I tried to imitate them but failed." The Jia County magistrates also wrote. Han Wangzhu nodded. After thinking for a while, he wrote on the paper, "What do you want, magistrate? Don't let them continue to sell firecrackers?" "No, we can only think of other ways. Don't you already have an idea? Tell me and I'll do it right away." Jia County magistrates wasn't stupid. He knew that he couldn't stop them from selling things. The main reason was that the bailiffs didn't listen to him. It was also impossible for him to transfer troops from other places. Unless Zhangjia Zhuangzi committed a serious crime, he wouldn't dare to ask for help from the people behind him. When Han Wangzhu saw what Jia County magistrates wrote, he hesitated. After a while, he wrote, "It's still early. It's better not to do it during the new year to avoid trouble." Looking at the words on the paper, County Magistrate Jia's expression kept changing. He also knew that if something went wrong during the Spring Festival, the matter would be blown out of proportion. The Zhang family's manner would not treat him the same as before. Although he did not know what method the Zhang family's manner would use, the methods of the Zhang family's manner could never be underestimated. Jia County magistrates felt aggrieved again. He didn't know what to do. Should he do it or wait? Sweat oozed from his forehead. Jia County magistrates wiped it, gritted his teeth, and wrote, "We can't wait any longer to avoid trouble. You guys come up with ideas and I'll do it myself." "Sir, do you want to think about it again?" Han Wangzhu tried to persuade him again. "No need." Jia County magistrates insisted. "Good. Someone will give you the details tomorrow. Remember not to let anyone else see it." Han Wangzhu saw that Jia County magistrates was ready to do it during the new year. He had no other choice. This plan needed Jia County magistrates' help, so he had to arrange it this way. Jia County magistrates didn't continue to write this time. He nodded seriously. Maybe it was because the last moment was coming. He was a little scared, but more excited. He felt that he finally had a chance to suppress the Zhang family and the Wang family. Even if he couldn't make them collapse at once, he could at least gain more benefits. Everything depended on what the two Zhuangzi would do. Jia County magistrates took a deep breath, picked up the papers written by the two, and burned them with a flint. He watched as the papers turned into ashes and stomped on them. He was really scared. If this matter spread to the Zhangjia Zhuangzi, he didn't know what they would do to him. With a plan in mind, Jia County magistrates knew that he couldn't turn back. He chatted with Han Wangzhu for a while, then got up and left the room. He saw two Yamen runners standing at the door and said to them, "What I just said to Brother Han, you can't tell anyone." The two Yamen runners looked at Jia County magistrates blankly and nodded under the gaze of Jia County magistrates. Jia County magistrates deliberately did this. He had written down all the useful things, and it didn't matter if others knew what he said. He was going to make the Yamen runners a habit from now on. "Take care, magistrate," Han Wangzhu said as he walked Jia County magistrates to the door of the courtyard. After Jia County magistrate's figure disappeared, Han Wangzhu didn't dare to delay. He found a horse in the courtyard, mounted it, and personally ran to Zhuangzi. Jia County magistrates left the courtyard. He didn't know what to feel, but he kept wanting to go to the small bridge to take a look. He also felt a little guilty, so he walked all the way. Before he knew it, he came to between the clouds and the water. He didn't go to the second floor, but randomly found a seat on the first floor near the manor. He opened the window a little and looked at the light snow that was still falling outside. He didn't move. "County magistrates, what would you like to eat?" Jia County magistrates didn't say anything, and neither did the Yamen runners. However, the waiter couldn't not say anything, so he asked in a low voice, "Anything will do. This snow, it's really good. Let's make it heavier." Jia County magistrates felt a little crazy. The waiter was stunned for a moment and immediately said, "Yes, magistrate. I will go and prepare it for you." After the waiter left, Jia County magistrates looked at Yamen Runner and the others who were standing there. He said with a smile, "Sit, eat with me today. The weather is going to change." "Magistrate, it's been snowing. Do you think it will be sunny soon?" Yamen Runner was puzzled and asked. Jia County magistrates pretended to be profound. He waved his hand and said, "No, it's going to be heavier. The weather of Sanshui County, whether it's snowing or sunny, it's going to change." Jia County magistrates believed that Zhuangzi from the Han family and Zhuangzi from the Yuan family would definitely help him a lot. Those two Zhuangzi were not worse than the Zhang family and the Wang family. In fact, they were even more powerful. At the very least, the Zhang family and the Wang family had started their business earlier than the Zhang family and the Wang family. The Zhang family and the Wang family had just started their business not long ago, so they couldn't be compared to those two families. After the Jia County magistrates finished speaking, he saw that the Yamen runners beside him didn't say anything. So he said again, "Isn't it better if the weather changes?" "It's good that you say so, magistrate. If it's snowing heavily, the winter wheat will have enough water. You don't have to worry about the winter wheat growing out first." Yamen runner echoed from the side. Jia County magistrates didn't say anything at this time. He looked back and forth between the Yamen runners who hadn't been bribed by him, especially Yamen runner. Every time he saw Yamen runner's puzzled look, the Jia County magistrates would smile. The dishes were served and the wine was almost warm, but Jia County magistrates still didn't say anything. He didn't eat either until the Yamen runners didn't know what to do. Only then did Jia County magistrates pick up his chopsticks, take a bite of the food, and say to the Yamen runners, "Eat, it's free." "We should thank Zhang Jiazhuangzi. You should thank him even more. Don't you think so, Yamen runner?" "If magistrate says so, then so be it. Actually, we Yamen runners should thank magistrate more. After magistrate took office, he didn't fire us, so we can still get a salary. This is why our families can live a good life. Magistrate, this humble one salutes you." Yamen runner knew that Jia County magistrates had gone to meet the people from the Han family today. Seeing Jia County magistrates like this, he must have found a way to deal with Zhang Jiazhuangzi. Now that the Jia County magistrates was in a good mood, he naturally had to go along with it. As for what would happen in the end, was there anyone who could beat Zhang Jiazhuangzi? After all, there was a master in charge there. Jia County magistrates looked at the Yamen runners who were a little nervous and felt more and more confident that he would succeed this time. He raised his wine cup and said, "In the future, Sanshui County will be better than it is now. The people won't have to starve and freeze anymore. Some of the houses that came today are still missing. Yamen runner, get 2 people to fix them later." Yamen runner also saw that some of the houses weren't fixed. It wasn't that the houses were missing, but when they were cooking, the smoke didn't come out from the chimney. Instead, it came out from the roof, so there should be some cracks in the mud. Yamen runner looked at the snow outside. It wasn't big, so he felt that it could be fixed. He said to Jia County magistrates, "I'll go right away. I'll eat when I come back. Please enjoy your meal, magistrate." After he finished speaking, Yamen runner was about to call 2 people over. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. He specifically picked the people that Jia County magistrates had bribed. Including him, there were 4 people in total. When he was about to leave, Jia County magistrates suddenly said, "Yamen runner, I think it's better for other Yamen runners to do this kind of work. Why don't we change the people?" Jia County magistrates pointed at the people that he hadn't bribed as he spoke. He thought to himself, "It seems that the people I bribed are really being ostracized. Once there's a job, they have to do it. The Zhang family didn't give them enough." Yamen runner naturally wouldn't refute. He called the people that Jia County magistrates picked and turned around to leave. Jia County magistrate smiled, picked up a big piece of meat, and chewed it vigorously in his mouth. The news of Jia County magistrates meeting Han Wangzhu quickly spread to Zhang Xiaobao. Hearing the words of the people who came, the 2 of them actually wrote with a pen. He didn't know the specific content. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and said, "Well, they can't wait any longer." "Good. As expected, they can't wait any longer. Since they want to make trouble for me during the new year, I'll grant them their wish. Everyone in the farmsteads will be on high alert. Also, send people to monitor the farmsteads of the Han clan and Yuan clan. That's it. Xiaobao, why don't you take the opportunity to teach Jia County magistrates a lesson before they make their move? Strike first and gain the upper hand." Wang listened at the side. She felt that Jia County magistrates really didn't know how to be a good person. Why did he have to pick this time? Zhang Xiaobao shook his head. Wei said, "If we want to teach him a lesson now, we can only make it big and drive him away directly. But if we do that, the people in Sanshui County will also have a bad new year. Let's wait. It's not easy for everyone." It's the new year, so we should be happy and lively. When Zhang Xiaobao said this, he suddenly said happily, I know how to let the people have a good new year. Chapter 246. Winter, a field of white snow. Wind, coming lightly. Cold, not feelings. Who says helplessness, flowers will bloom. Zhangjia Zhuangzi's plum blossoms had bloomed a few days ago, but not as many as today. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan woke up early in the morning, wrapped themselves up, and ran to the thicket of plum blossoms together. In order to be able to smell the fragrance of the flowers, they paid special attention to their noses and covered their noses as much as possible. When they reached the place, they took off the satin cloth in front of their faces and inhaled with all their might. Xiaobao, do you smell it? Wang Wan asked Zhang Xiaobao with her eyes closed, looking intoxicated. Zhang Xiaobao also inhaled with all his might, the kind that used his nose. After a while, he said, do you want to hear the truth or the lie? Let's tell the lie first. Wang Wan was still intoxicated. Zhang Xiaobao used his hand to warm his nose, which had turned red from the cold. It smells so good. It makes me feel that this smell can't be described with any words. I smell a strong aura. I smell an unforgettable memory. I smell a fragrance from the ancient times. I smell. You can tell the truth now. Wang Wan interrupted Zhang Xiaobao's lyrical speech. The truth is that the place where we are standing is upwind. The wind mixed with some fine snow brushed past our backs, making the pink and white plum blossoms sway gracefully, bringing the smell of spring, taking away the pollen of the flowers, taking away. I was wondering why I didn't smell it. It turns out that we were standing in the wrong place. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Follow me and inhale. Come, let's go over there. Wang Wan's intoxicated expression changed, and she pulled Zhang Xiaobao to the other side of the thicket. There are 2 more days before the new year. Today is the 28th of December. Is the Jia County magistrates not going to make a move? Don't tell me it's on the 30th? Wang Wan covered her nose, which could no longer smell anything, and said in a muffled voice. Zhang Xiaobao's condition was worse than Wang Wan's. He had already blown his nose 3 times, and his eyes were red. It was unknown whether it was because of pollen allergy or because of the cold. He turned his head to avoid the direction of the wind and said, who cares? I don't believe that they will dare to send people here to fight and kill. Let's go and see how much we still need to prepare for the new year. In a flat area between Zhuangzi and the small bridge of the Wang family, next to the market, there were many busy farmers. Pieces of wooden planks were erected and inserted into each other, forming simple houses one after another. These simple houses had at least 2 doors, and some even had 4 doors, one next to the other. In these houses, there were tables and chairs, as well as many basins made by people to cook hot pot. Next to them, there was a space a few dozen steps away from them, where charcoal was placed. Zhangjia Zhuangzi had the most charcoal. They had already bought a lot of charcoal in the county, which caused the price of charcoal in the county to rise by at least 3 times. It seemed that it brought inconvenience to the people in the county, but in fact, it allowed many people who worked in their families to earn some money. After cutting down trees and burning charcoal, they could sell it to Zhangjia Zhuangzi, or to be exact, to Zhang Xiaobao. Back then, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had discussed this matter. This might give the Jia County magistrates an excuse to attack them. After all, the price of goods had risen. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't care about this. They just increased the price when they bought the goods, and they even asked the local government runners to help them buy the goods from the people who burn charcoal. This saved them a lot of trouble. The main reason was that the 2 of them felt that by doing this, there would be a lot less trees. In the end, there wasn't so much vegetation here. The places where the trees were cut down were not replanted at all, and they didn't want to either. They directly became land. This was a newly opened land, so they could enjoy the treatment of tax exemption. So many simple houses were one of the ways that Zhang Xiaobao could solve the problem of not being able to go home during the new year. Other than the 2 main families who needed to worship the Lord, the other villagers didn't need to do this. Some of them only knew where their ancestors came from, but they didn't know who their ancestors were. The family tree that was passed down by word of mouth was no more. During the new year, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't know which house to go to. No matter which house they went to, it would make the other house seem too empty. Zhang Xiaobao decided that this year, everyone would celebrate the new year together. The villagers could eat their own food or share it with others. In addition to these, Zhang Xiaobao took out a lot of meat from his storeroom. He planned to cut it into slices and treat the villagers to hot pot. With so many people gathered together, it was naturally very lively. Even the workers between the clouds and the water could change back and forth. Okay, these houses are enough. Together with the houses in the market, we can celebrate the new year together. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan arrived, a worker in charge of the construction site shouted loudly to the surrounding villagers. The villagers put down their work and looked at the houses around them. Their faces were filled with happy smiles. Previously, everyone celebrated the 15th of the first lunar month together. At that time, there were torches everywhere and all kinds of snacks. Zhuangzi was not as rich as it was now. This year, they didn't expect that the main family would also be preparing to celebrate the new year. When the time came, they could pay a New Year's visit to the head of the main family on the night of the 30th. It was even more lively than before. This is good, isn't it? Between the clouds and the water is not far away. We can even send the finished goods over there. When we set off the firecrackers, we can set them off on both sides of the bridge. The only regrettable thing is that we don't know how to mix fireworks. We can only use fire. The things that explode are all the same. We should use something like magnesium powder. Zhang Xiaobao looked at everyone's happy expression and felt happy. The whole thing was a big family. He thought that not only were the adults happy, but the children would also be happy. Wang Wan was also imagining the scene during the new year. It was much livelier than before. In the past, everyone lived their own lives. To set off firecrackers, they had to go outside to set off their own firecrackers. There weren't so many people gathered to eat together. The people who came to pay a New Year's visit carried expensive things and said hypocritical words. How could it compare to now? The smiles of the villagers were not fake. Thinking of this, Wang Wan sighed with relief and said, "Yes, it's really good. That lord from the imperial court doesn't have to worry about no one serving him. I wonder, have you ever heard of a lord not celebrating the new year at home and going to other people's restaurants?" "No, I've never heard of it. Maybe it's not written in the books? It's passed down from generation to generation. There are always some deviations in history. For example, some things that happened in our country have long been buried in the tide of history. Except for those who really experienced it, who knows what's behind a certain thing." When Zhang Xiaobao thought of this, he felt a little sentimental. It was the most difficult thing to find the truth of things. Who cares? Anyway, it's fine as long as it's lively here. Let others worry about other people's affairs. I don't know what Jia County Magistrates is doing now. We didn't give him anything else, only 500 grams of wood ear and 300,000 sounds of firecrackers. Wang Wan didn't care about those things anymore. What she wanted to do now was to enjoy this kind of life and maintain this kind of life with Zhang Xiaobao. Suddenly, she thought of Jia County Magistrates. Since this county magistrate came to Sanshui County, it seemed that he didn't have a good day and was restrained everywhere. Zhang Xiaobao thought of the county magistrate who came here to make a lot of money and also felt funny. He said, in addition to the original money in his family, he should have about 7,000 taels of silver left. It's the new year, so he should give some to the people behind him, right? He'll lose a lot of money. Originally, I wanted him to do good things and help develop Sanshui County. When Sanshui County became prosperous and he accumulated enough political achievements, I would give him a sum of money when he was promoted. I have never opposed corrupt officials who are capable and can do practical things for the people. County Magistrate Chung was greedy, but he was only greedy for small amounts of money. He never asked for extra taxes, and he didn't let the Yamen runners work in the slightly richer people's houses through his position. The most important thing is that he knows how to adapt to the situation. After we got in touch with him, he always defended us and helped the people become rich through us. Yes, County Magistrate Chung is really good. He knows how to know his place. Since we gave him money, he didn't accept money from others. As long as we don't do anything, no one will blame him. Even if he left with 30,000 taels of silver, no one will say that he is a corrupt official. Jia County Magistrates is different. He hasn't taken office yet, and he only wants to make money. Not to mention that he will do something for the people when he comes to the county. He didn't even ask him what he can do. He directly went against us and came with the purpose of destroying us. How can we not teach such a person a lesson? Wang Wan also had a look of righteous indignation. She put herself in the position of the strong. She thought that the new county magistrate must first maintain a harmonious relationship with Zhang Xiaobao and the Wang family. He should take the initiative to surrender. She felt that with Zhang Xiaobao around, she was right to do so. Zhang Xiaobao also deeply agreed with Wang Wan's thinking. Everyone had their own position. Why didn't she think about looking for a partner instead of suppressing him? He had shown enough sincerity on his side. He had repaired the house, sent the things, and gave all kinds of hints. After doing all these things, Jia County Magistrates still didn't change his original intention. He still thought about money. He still had to think about it according to his method. Like County Magistrate Cheng, he didn't have anything he wanted. He didn't lack money, he didn't lack things, and he even helped him get political achievements. He sent him to the capital to be an official. Being an official in the capital was better than being a local official. It was an honor to be an official in the capital. Sigh. After squeezing out Jia County Magistrates, I hope to find another person in the county to replace him. We can't always transfer people from outside. It's really not convenient to use them. Zhang Xiaobao pointed at his own face with his finger and said faintly, "Then you thought of a way to get rid of him?" Wang Wan really didn't know how to get rid of a county magistrate. What's more, when this county magistrate came, he was welcomed by so many people. Give him an incomplete political achievement, and he will leave. Zhang Xiaobao winked at Wang Wan and said, Chapter 247. After a few days of continuous snow, it finally stopped on the afternoon of the 28th of December. The gray clouds in the sky dispersed, revealing the dazzling but not very warm sunlight. Jia County magistrates had finally sent out all the gifts he could. He even asked a few bailiffs to help him deliver them to some distant places. He was really not in the mood to do this. Those bailiffs who delivered the gifts naturally would not say that they were from the county magistrates. Instead, they would tell the people who received the gifts that they were from Zhangjia Zhuangzi. It was not wrong to say that they were from Zhangjia Zhuangzi. However, the people who received the gifts thought that they were from the Zhang family. Guards, come with me. County Magistrate Jia, who was restless, put on a set of casual clothes and carried a package. No one knew what was in the package. He shouted at the Yamen runners who were guarding the Yamen. Song Yang had already arranged for 2 bailiffs who were bribed to wait here today. When Jia County magistrates returned from Tuqiao village, someone delivered a letter to him. Except for himself, none of the other bailiffs knew what was written in the letter. After Jia County magistrates finished reading the letter, he became more excited and nervous. When he saw the letter turn into ashes and dust, he looked at the bailiffs outside the carriage vigilantly. Today was the day for him to make his move. To be exact, it was tomorrow. He had to go to a place first. It was the border between Huayuan County and Sanshui County. Someone had found him a helper. He did something in the Yamen yesterday. He did it secretly. He didn't even tell his family. "Sir, where are you going?" Song Yang asked respectfully when the carriage was ready. Jia County magistrates did not tell Song Yang where he was going. He looked around and asked Song Yang, "Have you arranged the things I asked you to do?" "Sir, don't worry. I have arranged everything. Our brothers are waiting for you on the road. But which one do you want to take?" Song Yang replied. Jia County magistrate smiled mysteriously. "You will know when the time comes. Let's go." After that, Jia County magistrates got on the carriage and went out under the escort of Song Yang and the other bailiffs. They went along a small road to Tuqiao village. The carriage did not go fast. In order to make it faster, they changed the driver to a donkey. This way, they did not have to worry about the horses freezing on the way. After walking for 2 hours, County Magistrate Jia lifted the curtain of the carriage and ordered a Yamen runner outside. You go back now and guard outside the yamen. If anyone asks about me, just say that I went out to visit the people." The bailiff nodded and turned to leave. The carriage moved forward again. After another hour, Jia County magistrates ordered another bailiff. "You go back now and gather all the bailiffs. Not only the 20 of you, but also those from other places. Ask someone to use a fast horse to report to the bailiffs in Tuqiao village. When everyone is here, it will be almost midnight. Go to the little Luoshui pier and surround the pier for this official. Something has happened there. When the time comes, this official will wait for you there. In the future, the weather in Sanshui County will be different." When the bailiff was about to leave, Song Yang advised, "Sir, there will be only me and Sir left here. You should go back first and find more people." Song Yang, "You have to believe that Sanshui County is safe. No one will hurt me. Go." In the carriage, Jia County magistrates looked at Song Yang and nodded meaningfully. He waved his hand and let the bailiff leave. After doing this, Jia County magistrates continued to let Song Yang drive the carriage forward. This time, he urged him to go faster. This time, Jia County magistrates lifted the curtain and looked outside from time to time. When they reached a small slope with two big trees next to it, Jia County magistrates stopped the carriage again. This time, he walked out of the carriage and looked at Song Yang, who was puzzled. He asked with a smile, "Song Yang, tell me, can I trust you?" "My lord, what do you mean by this?" "This little one is loyal and devoted to my lord. As long as my lord orders, this little one dares to go through mountains of swords and seas of flames." Song Yang had a firm expression as he patted his chest and promised. The smile on County Magistrate Jia's face was even brighter. He took out a letter from his arms and handed it to Song Yang. He said to Song Yang, "In this case, you take this letter to Tuqiao village immediately. Give the letter to the Han family in Shuiyun Cottage and follow his arrangements. Be quick. Whether I can stand firm in Sanshui County depends on this." Song Yang took the letter, looked around, and then looked at Jia County magistrates. He said, "Sir, I can't do that. If you let me go, what should I do?" "I will drive the carriage back myself. Don't worry. I have specially brought some things. Look." County Magistrate Jia took out a conical bamboo hat and a large piece of rough hemp clothes from his big package. They looked a little shabby. "This official will put on these clothes and slowly drive the carriage back. You have to hurry. It's a pity that we don't have a horse. Look around and see if there are any horses. Find one and use it first. It's better than you walking. Once you've settled this matter, this official will definitely not treat you unfairly. Go quickly." While speaking, County Magistrate Jia put on his bamboo hat and put on his clothes. Then, he went to the driver's seat and drove the cart forward. He didn't forget to look back at Song Yang. Song Yang stood in place for a moment and then shouted to the carriage that didn't go back, "Sir, don't worry. I will deliver the letter as fast as I can. Take care of yourself." After saying this, Song Yang looked around and chose a road without a road. He walked in the snow. After a few minutes, the donkey carriage stopped. Jia County magistrates jumped off the carriage and looked in the direction Song Yang left. He stared at Song Yang until he couldn't see him anymore. Then he sat back in the carriage and opened the bag. He put away the bamboo hat and the large garment. Then, he took out a set of fine linen clothes, loosened his hair, and changed his hairstyle. After doing all this, County Magistrate Jia lifted the curtain of the carriage and looked at the place where Song Yang left. Then, he stuck his head out and looked back. After that, he opened the door of the carriage, closed it, and opened it again. He repeated this 5 times. The cold wind kept pouring into the carriage. Jia County magistrates stopped and waited. After a while, 4 figures appeared on the hillside. 3 of them stood there and looked around. One of them ran quickly to the carriage, opened the door, and got in. "Sir, please go down quickly. Leave this to me," the man said to Jia County magistrates as he got into the carriage. At the same time, he took the bamboo hat and clothes from Jia County magistrates and put them on quickly. His figure was about the same as Jia County magistrates. Jia County magistrates nodded and didn't say anything. He got out of the carriage and glanced around. He trotted up the small slope and joined the 3 men who were on guard. They went down from the other side. The man in the carriage also got out and sat in the driver's seat. He continued to move forward. The wheels of the carriage left deep tracks in the snow. After walking for a few dozen feet, the donkey pulling the carriage felt that the carriage was lighter and walked faster. A gust of wind swept past. There were 2 marks in the snow that seemed to have been deliberately messed up by someone. Jia County magistrates went down the slope and immediately got into another carriage. There were 3 identical carriages here. If one didn't look closely, they wouldn't even be able to see the horses pulling the carriages clearly. One of the carriages was being driven in the direction of the yamen. The other one turned around and went up the slope first. Then, it followed the carriage that Jia County magistrates was driving. County Magistrate Jia's carriage waited for a while longer before turning onto another small road. The driver seemed to be in a hurry as he kept whipping his whip. The 3 horses were pulling the carriage at a high speed. After leaving, Song Yang went to a farmer's house. Seeing that there weren't any animals that could be ridden, he had no choice but to run in another direction. He ran to the side of a house. Song Yang looked around and saw that there was no one around. He took out the letter from his chest and opened it to read it carefully. It said, "The water route is blocked. The people coming should go around Xianping County. The yamen runners have been sent to Little Luoshui. We will act in 2 days. Come quickly." Seeing these words, Song Yang was shocked. It seemed that Jia County magistrates was preparing to find people from outside to deal with Little Luoshui. After thinking about it, Song Yang couldn't make up his mind. He knew that there was a small Zhuangzi village in front of him. There were more than 70 people and horses inside. Song Yang put away the letter and ran towards the village as fast as he could. "Sir, have you settled the matter in the yamen? You have to know that without that matter, we will have less people to rely on when we act tomorrow." When Jia County magistrates was 2 li away in his carriage, a person who had been waiting for a long time got into the carriage and spoke to Jia County magistrates. Jia County magistrates knew that this person was sent by the Yuan family. He nodded and said, "Don't worry. It was done last night. I asked my son to carry it with him." There won't be any mistakes. This time, I want to see what Zhangzhe Zhuangzi has to say. That's good. Sir, can all the yamen runners really gather at Little Luoshui and then be transferred together? When this person heard Jia County magistrate's words, he relaxed a little and asked about the yamen runners. Jia County magistrate smiled and said, "It doesn't matter whether they are gathered or not. Even if I didn't ask them to gather, someone else would have helped. Then, they would all go to Xianping County to guard it. This is a diversion tactic." "Sir, you're amazing. My master only asked you to help transfer the bailiffs away, but he didn't expect you to come up with such an unpredictable plan. Once you succeed, we'll be a family." The man flattered at the side. Jia County magistrates was finally relieved. He opened the package and took out his official robes and official seal. After putting them on, he said to that person, "How are things going on your side?" In reply to my lord, "It's almost done. It's just that the Zhang and Wang families' farmstead are building houses over there. I don't know why." As the person spoke, he couldn't help but frown. Chapter 248. Jia County magistrates drove all the way. In the afternoon, they finally arrived at the border between Sanshui County and Huayuan County. There were already many people waiting there. Jia County magistrates got out of the car and got into another car. At this time, there was already someone in the car. When the person saw Jia County magistrates, he immediately said, "Jia County magistrates, you must be tired. Come back with me to rest. We will set off early tomorrow morning. Everything will be easy when we reach there." Jia County magistrates also replied, "Dr. Han, you are too polite. This time, with you and the Yuan family, we will definitely make Zhangzhe Zhuangzi unable to make a comeback. Everything depends on you, Dr. Han." Well said, well said. But when the time comes, there are some things that we need to discuss carefully, especially hatching chickens, wood ears, and the recipes for good food. I hope you can consider the overall situation. Dr. Han was not polite. At this time, he made things clear to avoid any mistakes. Jia County magistrates naturally understood that no matter which of these three things he took, he would be rich, especially the wood ears. When he thought about it, he was filled with hatred. Since he could plant them, why did he have to give him 1 kilogram at a time? When he bribed the higher-ups, he had to consider which one to give first and which to give later. But this recipe was not easy to get. If the three families knew about it, more wood ears would be produced. Someone would have to go further away to sell them. Moreover, the relationship between the three families was not so good. Thinking of this, Jia County magistrates said, Dr. Han, don't worry. I just want to vent my anger. When the time comes, we will discuss how to divide it slowly. But I want to take most of the land in Shaoluoshui County. After all, it is in Sanshui County and is next to the Yamen. Okay, we will see if Zhangzhe Zhuangzi has anything else. Maybe there is something more valuable. Ha ha ha. Dr. Han was also thinking about his plan and laughed. At the entrance of the Byway Pavilion, Zhao Weiran, who had nothing to do these days, walked out after eating and drinking to his heart's content. Of course, he did not pay for the meal. Under the respectful escort of the waiter, he rode on the horse and put on a cloak. He seemed to be wandering around aimlessly again. He strolled leisurely until he reached the outskirts of the county town. He continued to ride his horse forward, touching his chest from time to time with a smile on his face. Seeing that there was no one around, he took something out of his bosom and examined it carefully. He muttered, "This time I've also rendered a meritorious service. Who knows, maybe I'll be able to get a loose official position. Zhangzhe Zhuangzi, you've gone too far. This time I'll let you know how strong I am." Following his shout, the slowly moving horse started to gallop. He rode on the horse with a high-spirited look on his face. After running for 3 hours, the horse could not take it anymore. It was always in the snow, and it was not a particularly good horse. At this time, white steam came out of its mouth and nose, and it ran slower. Zhao Weiran saw the state of the horse and had no choice but to dismount. He led the horse forward, scolding as he walked, "There is no good person in the Zhang family. How can a horse ridden by a yamen runner be unable to run such a short distance? I wanted to ride it, so you gave me an inferior horse. After I've dealt with you, I'll let you feed the horse every day." Humph. Just wait, the 3 crimes will be placed on you. No one can save you. Even the imperial nephew will not dare to make a sound. Humph. Zhao Weiran kept scolding Zhangzhe Zhuangzi as he thought about how to deal with him. He led the horse in the snow and looked forward from time to time, hoping to find a place to rest. His body could not withstand such a long journey. By the time he reached the place, he would either be exhausted or frozen to death. After walking for another hour, just as Zhao Weiran was about to get back on his horse, a few stalls connected together appeared in front of them. They were right beside the path. Why are there stalls in such a place? Zhao Weiran asked curiously. He immediately increased his speed. The fragrance that came with the wind made him know that at least one of them was cooking. He could drink some hot soup to warm himself up. When he got closer, he realized that it was not a stall selling things. It was a group of people resting here. The stall was set up to block the wind. He could not tell where these people were from their clothes. There were all kinds of clothes, a few carriages, and more than 10 horses. After a quick count, there were a total of 22 people eating and drinking there. The fragrance constantly wafted into his nose, making him drool uncontrollably. From these people's things and clothing, he could tell that they were probably merchants. Yes, Sanshui County was rich now. Many people would sell their goods here. From these people's clothes, he could tell that they came from other places. He did not know why they came out during the new year. Could it be that they did not have a fixed place to stay? Zhao Weiran thought. He felt that there was no danger. He wanted to eat and took a fancy to their horse. He led his horse over. "Are you merchants?" Zhao Weiran saw that they raised their heads and looked at him. He had no choice but to speak first. "Yes, young master. You are walking here alone and riding such a bad horse. Could it be that you are in trouble?" Among those people, one of them was sitting in the middle and was surrounded by others. He said to Zhao Weiran, Jiao Weiran shook his head. No, I don't know how to look at horses. I just rode a random one out. The horse was not good, so I had to lead it. I am hungry and tired. I wonder if you can sell me some of these things. I will give you more money. As he spoke, Jiao Weiran took out a string of copper coins with 100 coins in it from his sleeve and held it in his hand. Seeing him like this, those people suddenly laughed. It was the one who spoke just now who said to him, "Young master, there is no need to buy such a small amount of food with money. Just sit down and eat. Come, try this meat. It is so fat that it drips with oil." Someone at the side took out a piece of fatty meat with some lean meat from the pot and placed it in a bowl. He scooped a spoonful of soup, half a spoonful of garlic sauce, and sprinkled some coriander and chopped green onions. He passed the bowl to Jiao Weiran with chopsticks. Jiao Weiran did not like to eat fatty meat. His family was not like other people who did not see much oil and were willing to eat fatty food. However, seeing that they were so enthusiastic, he did not want to reject them. He endured the discomfort in his stomach and took the food. He smelled it first. It was indeed not bad. He did not know how the soup was made. He carefully picked up a piece of fatty meat that weighed half a kilogram and took a small bite. Jiao Weiran's eyes lit up. He nodded. Delicious. It is fatty but not greasy. It is fragrant. And this soup, it warms me up. I can't help but want to drink more. That's only natural. It's very tiring for people like us to work outside. If we don't eat more oily things, we can only think of ways to make the fatty meat taste better. Since young master likes to eat, then eat more. Come, young master, sit here. When that person heard Jiao Weiran praise the meat, he was very happy. He patted the cushion beside him and invited Jiao Weiran to sit. Jiao Weiran realized that the wind was the weakest in that area, so he didn't stand on ceremony. He thought to himself that he could just pay more when the time came, so he walked over there. After taking 2 steps, he tripped and fell backward. Before he could fall, 2 people on both sides hugged him from the front and the back. Young master, be careful. We are cooking here. There are many things. You can accidentally kick them. One of the 2 people who were supporting Jiao Weiran patted Jiao Weiran's clothes that were crumpled when they were supporting him and said. Jiao Weiran then realized that there was a stick by his feet. He did not see it just now. It seemed that he could not be careless. If he fell, it would hurt for a while. His clothes would be dirty too. He started a fire to melt the snow in the cooking area. He moved his waist and felt that it was fine. Jiao Weiran smiled and said, "It is all thanks to this big brother. Otherwise, I would not be able to wear my clothes out." No worries. Young master, please sit here. Try this fried rice with eggs. There is vegetable oil and some shredded meat inside. The person who spoke earlier pulled Jiao Weiran to sit beside him. He passed over a bowl of rice and 2 small salted vegetables. At the same time, the person beside him scooped a bowl of soup and passed it to Jiao Weiran. He ate the fried rice with salted vegetables and soup. The taste was amazing. Jiao Weiran picked up his chopsticks and started eating. As he ate, he said, "Delicious. It is really delicious. It seems that you guys really know how to enjoy life. If all merchants can be like you, how can there be any hardship?" Young master, you are wrong. It is fine here, but when you go further, such as the land of Sichuan, it is useless no matter how good the food is. The road is not easy. If you think it is delicious, you can put some in a bamboo tube and keep it with you. It can warm your body, and you can eat when you want to. The person beside Jiao Weiran told Jiao Weiran about the difficulties of being a merchant. At the same time, he took out a bamboo tube and put the meat and soup inside. "Okay, I will take this. There is still a long way to go. I will give you money when we leave." When Jiao Weiran heard this person say that he was keeping it with him, he rubbed his hand against his chest. When he realized that the thing was still there, he was relieved. Seeing that they were so nice, he wanted to give them money. "Young master, what are you saying? Why do you need money? It is fate that we can have a meal together. Young master, please don't talk about money again," the person said unhappily. Jiao Weiran pointed at his own horse, then pointed at their horses and said, "It's not money for food. I want to buy a horse from you. I'll leave my horse to you. You have to pay for this horse. I hope you can agree to this request. Buy a horse? Actually, we don't have many horses. Aya. The person hesitated this time. It seemed that he did not want to sell. The person beside Zhao Weiran said, Lao Wu, it is not easy for the young master. Sell one. If the young master froze because he did not have a horse, wouldn't we treat him for a meal for nothing? Lao Wu thought for a while and nodded at Zhao Weiran. Okay, I will exchange this horse with you. You have to pay 5 coins. Chapter 249. On Zhangjia Zhuangzi's side, the houses were finished. Everyone started to prepare for the Lunar New Year's Eve dinner. The villagers told the people in charge of recording what they could take out. Originally, Zhang Xiaobao planned to take something from each household and just put it on the table to eat. He didn't expect that the villagers would disagree with this distribution method. It wasn't like they didn't have money. This year's income was many times more than usual. Plus, with the ability of the Zhang family and Wang family's masters, it would be even better in the future. Not only that, other than the increase in income, they also spent less. The clothes were made by the masters. In order to unify, they had to wear several sets of clothes a year. When they were working, the most tiring days were also made by the masters. In addition, the children also had to eat 3 meals at school. In this situation where there was no income and no expenditure, they had more money to spare. Therefore, they planned to take out more things. They couldn't always rely on the masters to eat. One by one, they reported what they could take out. When the time came, they would let the people decide how much each family could take out and what to take out. Everyone tried to get the same price. The masters of the Zhang family and Wang family also bought 20 sheep and 2 cows that couldn't work. They were all ready to be killed and cooked for the Lunar New Year. In addition to these, there were also new bowls and chopsticks. The money was all paid for by Zhang Xiaobao. After all, he was the richest. The vegetables were also ready. First, they went to the vegetable growing area at the back and chose. When the time came, they just had to pick them. There were also all kinds of spices and sauces, including some nourishing medicinal herbs. They were also waiting to be used. Finally, there were noodles and all kinds of meat fillings. Zhang Xiaobao planned to make 2 kinds of dumplings. One was filled with pork and onion, and the other was filled with 3 delicacies. The shrimp and some fresh shrimps could be made. The shrimps and eggs could be wrapped with chives, and the fresh shrimps could be put in garlic sprouts. The meat fillings had to be chopped out first so that they could be wrapped when the time came. Many women were in charge of this. There was a charcoal fire next to them, and the meat was placed on the chopping board. These people chopped up the meat as if they were competing. When the children found out that they would be together for the new year this year, they happily ran and jumped, chasing each other, and from time to time, there would be laughter. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were also at the side, watching the adults fry things. Some of these things only had a little sugar added, while others had all kinds of stuffing. The farmers were working and chatting about Zhuangzi. Some of the older ones sat at the side and pulled a few of the younger ones over to tell them about what it was like to celebrate the new year in the past. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also liked to listen, so they gathered together and squatted there. When I was young, I had just arrived at Zhangjia Zhuangzi. At that time, the old master of the Zhang family was still the head of the family. Life then couldn't be compared to now. Back then, who would dare to eat like this during the New Year? After the New Year's Eve dinner, there's no need to live after the New Year. You can just wait to starve to death. An old man narrowed his eyes and recalled the past to tell the children, but there was no trace of worry on his face. Grandpa Wanyan, do you mean that the old master of the past couldn't do well with us? A simple child asked after hearing this. Don't talk nonsense. Grandpa Wanyan slapped the child's head and looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Seeing that the 2 little ancestors were not dissatisfied, he was relieved. Otherwise, if the old master heard this, he would be sad. He continued, without the old master, where would the old master come from? This is the old master's ability. At that time, he wasn't like you, who could study in school every day. It was already good enough that you didn't starve to death. Every time the harvest was low, the old master of the Zhang family would take in less food. With the 100 households' food, no one in Zhuangzi would starve to death. Look at you now, enjoying life. You have books to study. Zhuangzi provides good food 3 times a day. You have to learn well so that when you grow up, you can do more for the master. Where did I stop? Food. In the past, we ate a mess of food. How can it be compared to now? If you want to eat meat, you can eat a meal every few days. If you want rice, noodles, and new clothes, wait until next year. You can eat meat every meal. After saying this, the old man was tired after sitting for a long time. He rubbed his waist and prepared to go back. The children were listening happily. Seeing that Grandpa Wanyan was about to leave, 2 clever children immediately came behind Grandpa Wanyan and began to massage his back. One of them said, "Grandpa Wanyan, don't go. We'll massage your back." The massage was useless. The old man nodded with a smile. "Okay, continue. Talk about food. Do you see those cows and sheep? At the age of 30, you have to leave some space in your stomach. Otherwise, you won't be able to eat. There are also those dumplings and pig trotters. In the past, you didn't even dare to think about it. If you don't believe me, you can go to other Zhuangzi or ordinary people's houses to see if they have these things to eat. It's good enough to use white flour and other kinds of bread to make dumplings during the new year. Who dares to put meat in them? There are only some green onions. The rest is all meat, and that's shrimp." "I know, Grandpa Wanyan." When other farmers and ordinary people meet us in the market, they are all envious. The way they talk is different from before. I know what we ate during the new year in the past. We ate vegetable dumplings with a little bit of meat in them, a slightly older child said. At the same time, he remembered what he ate in school. There was milk, eggs, pancakes, and meat. Even the vegetable dumplings had a lot of oil in them. When he bit into it, the oil would drip down his mouth. Thinking of this, the child looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were also happy. He said, "Little master, little miss, don't worry. When we grow up, we will protect you. Can you also treat us as well as the master now?" "Good, good. It's better than that. When the time comes, my family will have more money. Your family will also have the same." Zhang Xiaobao was the first to agree. Wang Wan laughed at the side. These things were all Zhang Xiaobao's. The children on Zhuangzi were so cute. They dared to ask about anything. Grandpa Wanyan also looked at the little ancestors of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family happily. He didn't know that these were all made by the 2 little ancestors, but he knew that the days before were not so good. Since the 2 little ancestors of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family were born, Zhuangzi seemed to have suddenly changed when they were 1 year old. Everyone no longer had to worry about whether they could eat tomorrow. They also didn't have to worry about not having enough clothes to cover their bodies. Their days were getting better and better. These were the blessings brought by the 2 little ancestors. It must be so. Also, look at our house now. Next year, we will change to a new one. At that time, Grandpa Wanyan continued to talk, and the children listened. With the shelter of the house and the charcoal fire, they didn't feel cold at all outside. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan looked at Grandpa Wanyan rubbing his waist from time to time. They looked at each other and communicated with their lips. "Xiaobao, do you think Grandpa Wanyan has lumbar intervertebral herniation or lumbar muscle strain? Why don't you think of a way to relieve it? This way, the people on Zhuangzi can feel more comfortable." Wang Wan didn't want these villagers, who were like family members, to feel too uncomfortable, so she asked Zhang Xiaobao, "How would I know? How would I know? It looks like it's a strain on the lumbar muscles. I don't know what kind it is. I've never had this before. We should make a place with steam, soak it in Chinese medicine, and slowly rub it with alcohol. I only know these 2 techniques. When I was injured in the past, they taught me how to massage it. Sometimes, I'll massage it myself." Zhang Xiaobao didn't know how to treat patients, so he could only try using what he heard and learned. However, he couldn't massage the old man. He still had a lot of things to do. Wang Wan also knew about Zhang Xiaobao's situation, so she said, "You can teach others. Also, our family's doctor knows acupuncture. In the future, We will train some people who specialize in treating various diseases, such as massage, cupping, scraping, and so on. We will cultivate talents and turn Zhuangzi into a comprehensive place for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family. At that time, as long as there is a problem, there will be someone to take care of it. After the new year, you can write some content about planning. I will give the children military training every day. When they grow up, we will have someone to use. Don't tell me you don't know how to plan. Yes, you said it yourself. International swindlers don't know how to plan how to cheat. What I think is that not only the children should learn, but also the adults. When they are not busy, we can let the adults learn as well. If everyone is literate, they can read more books and know the meaning of the words. It can be considered a kind of accumulation of experience. When they learn to write, they will have good experience and write it down. Why do they need to pass it down orally, which is easy to lose? Zhang Xiaobao also thought about it. He knew that in the past, it might not be a big deal to know how to read. But now, not everyone had the opportunity. For example, some families had problems eating. Where would they have the money to buy ink, paper, inkstone, and other things? It was impossible to learn things without paying a single cent. What would the teacher eat? Wang Wan also understood the importance of knowledge. It was passed down from generation to generation. Many good prescriptions were passed down by word of mouth because people did not know how to read or write. In the end, they were buried in history and no one remembered them. Okay, I also agree. Anyway, they don't need to pay. They just need to learn. When they gradually trust the main family more, I will teach them physics and chemistry. I don't need you. I know you don't know how to do it. You just need to help me find various experimental supplies. Yes, I really don't know how to do it. I haven't received orthodox education. Now I know that kind of education is really not ordinary. 12 years of compulsory education is better than 9 years. It belongs to the growth of society as a whole. Zhang Xiaobao had to admit that education had a role in improving the quality of the people. Chapter 250. The wind was cold outside the courtyard, but the charcoal was warm inside the house. The curtains were filled with beautiful colors, and the brush was filled with the fragrance of a scholar. In an elegantly decorated house, the red charcoal fire blocked all the cold outside. Smelling the light incense, it made people feel sleepy. County Magistrate Jia sat on a cushion with a small table in front of him. Tea and snacks were indispensable. There were also several kinds of fruits that had been preserved for some unknown reason. They looked tempting, but it was hard to tell how they tasted. There were also 2 small tables next to Jia County magistrates. There was one person sitting behind each of the tables. There was also a chair with armrests placed behind them. The 3 people sat down and didn't speak for a while. It seemed that they were waiting for someone to speak first. After drinking a pot of tea, Jia County magistrates couldn't help but speak first. Zhangjia Zhuangzi is a foregone conclusion. I don't know how Dr. Han and Yuan Along think we should divide the Zhang family's things. Jia County magistrates didn't want to waste too much time. He wanted to have a good sleep in a while so that he could be energetic tomorrow. If they set off from here, they would arrive at their destination around noon. The head of the Han family, Dr. Han, also had an official position. He looked at the Yuan family's house and said, Yuan Along, this time there are a lot of things. Yuan Ilong, you can speak first. Yuan Ilong saw that the 2 people didn't want to speak first, so he thought for a while and said, if there is nothing else in Zhangjia Zhuangzi, then there is some money. They made a lot of money in Little Luo Shui. We can divide the money between the 3 families. We can divide it into 3 parts, the same amount. What do you think? Okay, I agree. There is indeed a lot of money in that farmstead. County Magistrate Jia, you must act quickly tomorrow. You must convict them first. By then, it will be too late for anyone to come. After all, we have made sufficient preparations. Dr. Han felt that this amount of money didn't matter. No matter how much it was only a few tens of thousands of strings. What was really useful was the prescription. Jia County magistrates was a little reluctant. After he fell into the water, His 13,000 strings of coins were taken away by the Zhang family. He also spent a lot of money to buy the Zhang family's 6,000 strings of coins and gave them to the people for free. No matter what, he should exclude the 19,000 strings of coins. However, if he really said so, the two families would definitely not let go of the benefits after that. He had no choice but to say, I also agree. They should also have a place to put their money in Little Luoshui. When the time comes, that place will be like their Zhuangzi. Yuan Ilong, let's talk about other things. There are still the rural households. Once the two rural households in Zhuangzi are gone, the rural households will change owners. After Jia County magistrates finished speaking, the two people were silent. They thought of the same thing. They were ready to accept some of the rural households. This way, they would have a lot of labor. However, they were afraid that the rural households would still think about the owners and cause trouble for them. The most important thing was that if they wanted these villagers, they would have to give in to County Magistrate Jia in other aspects. This was something that both of them did not want. The villagers who caused trouble would lose part of their benefits. No matter how they looked at it, it was not appropriate. Dr. Han was not in a hurry. Jia County magistrates asked Yuan Ilong, so naturally, Yuan Ilong should say first. Yuan Ilong secretly cursed in his heart and said, these rural households are the people of Sanshui County. Even if we accept them, we still have to do things in the local area. Dr. Han and I are not suitable to accept them. It's better for Jia County magistrates to keep them. We can divide the things in the warehouse, livestock, and poultry. Jia County magistrates didn't expect that when he pushed them out, he would push them back. When he thought about it, it made sense. If the people of Sanshui County didn't suffer any disasters, it was impossible for them to leave here. If they really left, he would be found by the people above. However, how could two Zhuangzi and more than 800 people compare to the things in the warehouse? There must be a lot of tremella and fungus in the warehouse. Just a few of them should be more than 10,000 strings of cash, right? Maybe even more. Plus, there were more than 30,000 poultry, a herd of cattle, sheep, and horses. Overall, he seemed to be at a disadvantage. Yes, there was still so much food. No, he couldn't agree. In the end, the people wouldn't belong to him. Perhaps the imperial court would give Zhuangzi to other people. That's not right. The rural households won't belong to me. Let's put it aside for now. The three of us should divide everything in Zhuangzi equally. Yuan Ilong, tell me about the prescriptions. I want the wharf in Shao Luoshui. Now I know there are 3 prescriptions. The one for hatching chicks, the one for increasing grain production, and the one for growing fungus. Jia County magistrates put the matter of the rural households aside and began to talk about the prescriptions. Yuan Ilong shook his head and said, not 3. There's also the one for making liangpi, vegetable oil, chili sauce, and seasoning. There was originally a prescription for growing vegetables in winter, but they offered it. Oh, yes, they also offered a prescription. That prescription can be said to be beneficial to the country and the people. It seems that there will be more twists and turns. It's better to call County Magistrate 1. After all, this time we will use his bailiffs. Originally, we said that we would give him money, but now it seems that just giving him money is not enough. Give him a prescription and convict Zhangjia Zhuangzi of invading and disturbing the people of Huayuan. We can bring up the matter of the straw on Zhuangzi in Dr. Han's house. The matter of the cow in my house having diarrhea after eating will not work. Those who are willing to take the bait are not reasonable. We can't find a seller. Yes, I think this matter can be done. County Magistrate Wen's prescription can help us resist a lot of pressure from the higher-ups. Dr. Han agreed with Yuan Ilong's idea. At this time, the Jia County magistrates reacted. Zhangjia Zhuangzi did have a lot of prescriptions. Then the money should be re-estimated. Maybe there are more prescriptions that haven't been taken out. Yes, there are more. There are still 2 more. One is the prescription for making firecrackers, and the other is the one for making popcorn. Forget about the candy prescription. I have already given it to Zhou Shihu. There are so many prescriptions. Maybe there will be new prescriptions. Now that we have agreed, It will be difficult to divide the new prescriptions when there are new ones. Hearing the Jia County magistrate's words, Yuan Along and Dr. Han were stunned. After thinking about it carefully, it was indeed so. Fortunately, they acted early. Otherwise, if they were given another 2 or 3 years, wouldn't they fly to the sky? I want the people of the Zhuangzi main courtyard of Zhang Zhuangzi and Wang family, Yuan Ilong and Dr. Han said at the same time. The two of them looked at each other and laughed at the same time. They knew what each other was thinking. The prescriptions didn't come out of nowhere. Someone must have thought of it. As long as they caught the person, there might be more prescriptions in the future. Each one of them was a hen that laid golden eggs. After the two of them finished talking, they laughed and regretted it. Sure enough, the Jia County magistrate was not a fool. In the past, he had always wanted to take revenge. Now that he heard the two of them, he also understood the importance of people. When the three of them talked to this point, they couldn't continue. The things could be divided, and the prescriptions could be divided. But how could they divide the people? Judging from the situation, it should be a prescription made by one person. Even if they gave all the prescriptions to others, it would be a profit if they had such a person. The more Yuan Ilong thought about it, the more difficult he felt. He could only say, let's put this matter aside first. We'll talk about it when county magistrate one comes. Huayuan County is not like Sanshui County. There are actually more than 700 bailiffs. There are only 300 bailiffs, and some of them are temporarily found. The Zhang Zhuangzi main courtyard and Wang family have a lot of villagers in Zhuangzi. We have to act quickly. If we catch the main family first, the villagers won't dare to rush. Otherwise, it will be easy to make things worse. If hundreds of people die, we won't be able to get away. Jia County magistrates used a trick to transfer the bailiffs away. When the Zhang Zhuangzi main courtyard and Wang family are arrested, the 700 bailiffs will be obedient. They can't run to Huayuan County's prison to find people, right? That's no different from a rebellion. Huayuan County's prison? How can they be locked up in Huayuan County? If they want to be locked up, they should be locked up in Sanshui County. Your Huayuan County's yamen has no reason to come to Sanshui County to arrest people, right? Jia County magistrates was concerned about the person who came up with so many prescriptions. No matter what, he couldn't send the person to someone else's place. When the time came, who could guarantee that these people wouldn't ask who the person was first? Yuan Along, of course, knew what county magistrate Jia was thinking about. He took a sip of the cold tea and said, County Magistrate Jia, you mean to say that I should be locked up in the prison of the Sanshui County Yamen? Which bailiff will be guarding them? You don't even trust Song Yang. You said that he would definitely collude with the Zhang family. That's why you gave him the letter. If he didn't collude, then the bailiffs would all be at little Luoshui's place. Jia County magistrates really didn't know how to answer Yuan Ilong's question. In the entire Sanshui County, except for his family, he didn't trust anyone else. Even though Song Yang had always been so respectful and obedient, he was prepared for both sides. At this time, Dr. Han interrupted and said, how about this? When we catch the person, the three of U.S. and county magistrate one will escort them to the capital together. Let the people in Zhuangzi County and young Master Jia do the rest. The bailiffs in Sanshui County will have no backbone, so it will be easy to manipulate them. When they are obedient, we will either really send the person to the capital or come back. What do you think? Okay, let's do it according to Dr. Han's method. Yuan Ilong agreed. Jia County magistrates was a little worried. If something happened in Sanshui County, he should report to the prefecture first. He couldn't directly escort the person to the capital. After thinking for a while, he gritted his teeth and said, okay, I also agree to do this. But when the time comes, I will have someone send a memorial to the prefecture. We will leave here first. When the prefecture investigates, we will have something to say. When the two people saw that he agreed, they were relieved at the same time. They were afraid that Jia County magistrates would leave midway. Then, they would have no reason to go there. After the matter was arranged, the three people didn't continue to drink tea. They went to another hall and asked the servants to bring wine and dishes. They were ready to have a good meal. Jia County magistrates was only worried about his son at this time. He was afraid that his son couldn't come in time, or that something had happened to him. He had no choice but to ask Yuan Yilong to send someone to meet him. This was also to give his son a credit. Otherwise, there would be no excuse. The sky gradually darkened. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan felt sleepy and wanted to go back to rest. At this time, 3 fast horses came from outside and directly went to the main house of the Zhang family. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan saw the speed of the horses and the marks on their bodies, they were both shocked. It was actually an emergency report of 800 miles. They hurriedly ran home. When the 2 people entered the yard, Steward Zhang told them about the Yamen runners. You really don't want to give me face. Okay, this time I don't have to take the initiative to drive them away. Arrange it right away. When Zhang Xiaobao heard about the matter, he was furious. He decided to get rid of Jia County magistrates once and for all. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.